I know.
Welcome to the Tin Rabbit Podcast, where we dig deeper into the bottom of the rabbit hole. Tonight, we're exploring one of the most sinister tactics in history, false flags. From World War I to 9/11, these attacks or events are designed to blame someone else, usually to justify war or consolidate power. Some bunny told me the U.S. government knew the Japanese were planning an attack on Pearl Harbor, but they let it happen just to justify entering World War II. Also, the assassination of Franz Ferdinand in 1914 blamed on Serbia to spark World War I. And who can forget the Gulf of Tonkin incident in 1964? The U.S. claimed that North Vietnamese boats attacked American ships, but declassified documents later revealed that the attacks never happened. This false flag was used to justify escalating the Vietnam War. Should I also mention the weapons of mass destruction that never existed, leading to the Gulf War? Or Operation Northwoods, a U.S. military plan to stage false flag attacks on American soil to justify invading Cuba? But perhaps the most infamous is 9/11. The official story has been disputed by many, with some claiming it was an inside job to justify the war on terror. These false flags have one thing in common. They're used to manipulate public opinion and push agendas. We need to question everything and seek answers. That's what we do here on the Tin Rabbit Podcast. So stick around, Fluffles, and keep your eyes open and your flag planted firmly in the truth.
Okay, well, that's quite a mouthful there. So you said actions such as these suggest otherwise. Suggest meaning they suggest they're not interested in talks and they're going to go ahead.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
What action are you talking about?
One, the actions I've just pointed to. The fact that Russia continues to engage in disinformation campaigns.
You made an allegation that they might do that. Have they actually done it?
What we know, Matt, is what I have just said, that they have engaged in this activity, in this planning activity. But let me because obviously this is not the first time we've made these reports public. You'll remember that just a few weeks ago.
I'm sorry, made what report public?
If you'll let me finish, I will tell you what report we made public. We told you a few weeks ago that we have information indicating Russia also has already prepositioned a group of operatives to conduct a false flag operation in eastern Ukraine. So that, Matt, to your question, is an action that Russia has already taken.
It's an action that you say that they have taken, but you have shown no evidence to confirm that. And I'm going to get to the next question here, which is, what is the evidence that they... I mean, this is like crisis actors, really. This is like Alex Jones territory you're getting into now. What evidence do you have to support the idea that there is some propaganda film in the making?
Matt, this is derived from information known to the U.S. government, intelligence information that we have declassified. I think you know.
Okay, well, where is it? Where is this information?
It is intelligence information that we have declassified.
Well, where is it? Where's the declassified information?
I just delivered it.
No, you made a series of allegations and statements.
Would you like us to print out the topper? Because you will see a transcript of this briefing that you can print out for yourself.
That's not evidence, Ned. That's you saying it. That's not evidence. I'm sorry.
What would you like, Matt?
I would like to see some proof that you you can show that
Matt, you have been
that shows that the Russians are doing this. Ned, I've been doing this for a long time.
I know, that was my point. You have been doing this for quite a while. You know that when we declassify intelligence information,
right. And I
we do so in a means. We do so with an eye to protecting sources and methods.
Is not going to fall. I remember a lot of things. So where is the declassified information other than you coming out here and saying?
Matt, I'm sorry you don't like the format, but we have declassified.
It's not the format; it's the content.
I'm sorry you don't like the content. I'm sorry you are doubting the information that is in the possession of the U.S. government.
No,
what I'm telling you is that this is information that's available to us. We are making it available to you in order for a couple reasons. One is to attempt to deter the Russians from going ahead with this activity. Two, in the event we're not able to do that, in the event the Russians do go ahead with this, to make it clear as day, to lay bare the fact that this has always been an attempt on the part of the Russian Federation to fabricate a pretext.
Yeah, but you don't have any evidence to back it up other than what you're saying. It's like you're saying, we think we have information the Russians may do this, but you won't tell us what the information is. And then when you're asked,
that is the idea behind deterrence, Matt. That is the idea behind deterrence.
And when
it is our hope that the Russians don't go forward with this.
You say, I just gave it to you. But that's not what
you seem not to understand. You seem not to understand the idea of deterrence. We are trying to deter the Russians from moving forward with this type of activity. That is why we're making it public today. If the Russians don't go forward with this, that is not ipso facto an indication that they never had plans to do so.
But then it's unprovable. I mean, my God, what is the evidence that you have that suggests that the Russians are even planning this?
Matt,
I'm not saying that they're not, but you just come out and say this and expect us just to believe it without you showing a shred of evidence that it's actually true. Other than when I ask, or when anyone else asks, what's the information? You said, well, I just gave it to you, which was just you making a statement.
Matt, you said yourself, you've been in this business for quite a long time. You know that when we make information, intelligence information public, we do so in a way that protects sensitive sources and methods. You also know that we declassify information only when we're confident in that information. If you doubt the credibility of the U.S. government, of the British government, of other governments, and want to find solace in information that the Russians are putting out, that is for you to do.
I'm not asking what the Russian government is putting out, and what is it supposed to mean?
That was awesome, man.
There you go.
Oh, there it is.
There you
You
go.
good? All right. Well,
Hey,
how's everyone doing tonight? How are you guys doing tonight?
good. How are you, Cookie?
I'm great. We're gonna talk about a great topic here. All right. Obviously, I'm your co-host here, Bad Cookies. We got Mastermind Hour and Better Half Hour.
Hello.
And we're going to say hello to all of you tin fluffles out there. Hope you guys are going to have a good time. It's going to be a good show. Please like, subscribe, and share. It always helps the show get bigger. And please tune in next week. We're going to have the episode Dr. Death MD, Private Malpractice, LLC.
That'll be a good one. That'll be, well, that'll be an icky one, but it'll be an informative one.
Yeah.
Maybe not a happy one.
Tune into that. It'll be at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be performing an autopsy in the medical industry. Medical malpractice, cover-ups, and conspiracies. It's a deadly disease that is infecting our trust. All right, that's a disclaimer. Let's make sure to get our disclaimer in there, man.
Yeah.
This program is a fictional portrayal of a couple of knuckleheads who are pretending to be conspiracy experts. This podcast in no way should be considered informational and is for entertainment purposes only. All right.
So,
all right, what are we going to get into tonight, man? You guys ready for this one?
yeah.
I am. I got all my CIA documents ready.
Nice.
I'm
Today,
gonna pull you up and let you give the intro.
all right, man.
Ooh,
All right.
wrong one. Sorry. So This
Yeah.
is such a professional show.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
All right, everyone. So tonight we're going to be exploring one of the most sinister tactics in history, false flags. They've been used to commit some of the most heinous crimes in history, and we're going to delve right into them. It started in around the 16th century to describe how pirates would use a flag that looked like an allied nation, but it was really to deceive merchant ships in order to get close and attack. The pirates would switch out their flags to the old Jolly Roger Pirates didn't care who was blamed. They were pirates. Since then, it has become a term used to describe a camouflage that is not as friendly as flag, but more representing the enemy than placing blame on them in order to incite war. From World War I to 9/11 to Ukraine, these attacks or events are designed to blame someone else, usually to justify war or consolidate power. And with our show here tonight, this is a very fantastic topic. We're going to have one of our fantastic guests, one of the best guests we ever had. You guys are going to love him. His name is Kit Cabello. Let's get Kit on the stage here.
Good evening, my lovelies, my sunshines, and welcome to another episode of Hutch Lens Media. I'm your host, Kit Cabello, and
hey, first of all, there's only one Kit Cabello. Well, actually, there's many. There's clones out there. But this borderlines with racism and every sign of ism ever. I am deeply offended, and I am about to go on a cancel culture crusade, the likes of which even God has never stayed. It's a dream come true. I'm on next hour show, Tin Rabbit podcast. Bad cookies in the background, better half in the background over there. Hello there, my lovelies, my evenings, my moons. It's a pleasure to see you because it's late this evening. So welcome, everybody. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us, Kit. We couldn't have asked for a better guest for our 9/11. 9/11's kind of our Super Bowl, I guess you would say, for Tin Rabbit podcast.
Yes, and social media is a buzz and ablaze with everything that's coming out and everyone's opinion about 9/11. I have my opinions about it too. And after all, we're not for that tragic day. I think maybe things would be drastically different, but who's to say? That's what multiverse theory is all about. But that's maybe a story or maybe a live stream for another day. Multiverse theory. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad you're on the 9/11 show because I just wanted to introduce some of the, we call them fluffles. I said that right? Which is, because we're the Tin Rabbit and a bunch of little rabbits are called fluffles. And just in case they don't know who you are, Cookie, if you want to tell a little bit about
Mr. Kit Cabello?
Yeah, Mr. C's
he's far
credentials.
Too modest to toot his own horn.
I just would like to toot his horn.
Well, let me herald the horn of the God Emperor before Angron crushes his head.
As you should.
Well, Kit's a former Marine that served 2 tours in Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom for the United States Marine Corps. Hoorah. He was an He has an educational background in political science and was a member of the Honor Society.
Thank you.
And he is the co-founder and CEO of Hard Lens Media. That is Kit Cabello.
Thank you.
And don't forget the #1 rated news show on Kick.
There we go. As it should be in the morning.
As it should be.
As it should be. Well, thank you, everyone. It is a real good pleasure to be on your show. And obviously, you guys got a great lineup. I read your show notes. So you guys lead, I follow. If you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to break into the onion. That is Kit Adrian Cabello I, son of Claudia Church. There you go.
I have no idea what that meant. Who's Claudia Church? No, that's not one of your questions that we sent you, but Cookie has it.
No, that's my mama. That's my mama. There you go.
Miss Church. Okay. Well, we do have moms on this show. Mastermind's mom has been a guest. That's why when you said the best guest ever, I'm like, well,
yeah, second best.
Mother Mind.
Sorry.
No, I'm just
I'm okay with being number 2. I'm okay with having that silver.
All right.
Well, as a Sicilian, you should make sure you put mama first, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, at least in this house.
You better.
Yes, sir. So Cookie had a question for you because, Tin Rabbit's a conspiracy show. So.
Yes, sir. I wanted to start off this interview with a very serious question here. Mm-hmm. There's rumors that you might have allegedly informed the authorities of our fellow friend named Trey about some things that he might or may not be associated with.
I'm yes.
That was
I'm really glad.
I don't know what's happening.
I could really. I'm glad I can address this. So first of all, there is a horrific rumor in the streets of Chicago that I have been an informant with the Chicago Police Department in regards to the underground organization of an individual named Trey. Now, first of all, my friend Trey is an honorable is an honorable man who runs many legitimate businesses, from laundromats to printers and to bakeries. And there is no such thing as any kind of drug trade, gun trade happening in the city of Chicago. I am not an informant, and anything that has regards to racketeering, RICO, gun or drug charges is not related to Trey.
Okay.
I am not a rat.
Thank you, Kit. I'm so glad you clarified that, because that's one of our conspiracies, man. What was Kit saying? And that's great that we're addressing this conspiracy, because that's what we're doing here. We're addressing conspiracies and having fun. So
my conspiracy theory is blown because I never have seen Cookie's face. He's a anarchist that just looms in the background and barely gives me any info and just is a voice in my ear. And so at one point I was like, is he Kit Cabello? Just with so that theory's blown.
She thought Cookies was her shock puppet.
Because I can't see him still. He could be doing a Brady Bunch.
Wow, that would be cool if he could do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you guys sing a duet so I could tell you're not just 2 feet?
All right. Just remember, believe in your heart and tell her how you feel.
Okay, I'm convinced. That was I surrender.
What
that they're 2 different people.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because we are.
If they were the same person, they could sing in harmony.
Oh,
I didn't know it wasn't pre-recorded.
That's true.
I guess she doesn't know about the great clone theory, which is fine.
Now I do.
Fine.
Now I do.
That's what happened to. That's
got
what
me privy. I'm like, wow, you do look just like him with that Hawaiian shirt. When I saw you pop up, I was like, oh shit.
He blew all that lottery money.
I have a question about you, Kit, because like I said, I don't watch you as much. And last week, we did a show on journalism and like how it was the death of true investigative journalism when you try to speak up, and we talked about whistleblowers and stuff like that. But
yeah, real happy show.
I realized that the importance of the fourth estate, which is the fourth branch of government to support, to hold the government accountable. Okay. And I hear you doing that a lot when I pass through the man cave and I hear your voice in the background with Mastermind watching it and stuff. And I just wonder what interested you in journalism, and have you ever protested? Yeah.
Yes. So I've been part of a few protests, but what got me involved in journalism was sometime after the Marine Corps, when I was in my second year in college at Northeastern Illinois University, studying political science. And one thing that kept on upsetting me is we were involving ourselves more in foreign wars, even after Obama got elected into office. And what was enraging me is that things weren't getting better. And I wanted to know why things were happening. Okay. I had questions. I wanted answers. And, I like to watch movies and films. And there was one film in particular that was set in or after World War I, where this soldier who came home, he was looking at maps of Europe, and his mother was asking, why are you looking at all these maps? And he said, I wanted to really know where I was at and the culture and people that were there. And I wanted to know more about the Middle East. I wanted to know about how we really got involved in this region. And the further and further I got deeper into politics and media, I realized that we are stuck in a sick system. And for a long time, I was just consuming news, consuming media. And I felt like I wanted to get my voice out there, but I just didn't know how. And, I got a minor in news media and journalism at Northeastern, and I got a major in political science. And
had a passion.
For 5 years I was at Northeastern. I kind of one thing I do kick myself in the head in. I should have gone to graduate school, but I didn't. But
this is your graduate school,
right?
Yeah. This is actually my graduate school. But
application.
So I graduated, and for about a year I was unemployed, and I was really in a manic, depressed state because I felt like I did everything right. And I was still filing out all these job applications. I got a job finally at Costco after a year. And, for a long time, I guess I was kind of like in this rut, like stuck, still consuming media until I had the fateful encounter with Daniel. And we kind of like sort of hit it off. And I remember him saying to me, hey, you've done some great work for Wolfpack, which was Cenk Uyghur's organization back in the day, because I used to be a fan of TYT. All right, hey, gotta call
we
it.
all
as
make
it
our
is.
mistakes.
I didn't hear about that.
I used to watch Rising, so I got my own cross to bear.
So I'm going to try and I'm giving you guys a short version because I know we got a lot to talk about. So
we do. The Mastermind has a juicy question.
Yes, absolutely.
But please, you're very passionate about it. I love hearing this.
So what happened was me and Daniel met up. We were on radio. We had a radio show. And this was like the early stages of Hard Lens. Like
how long ago?
This was like 2016. Like this was like proto.
Okay.
Everything else. So fast forwarding through that, after the DNC convention in Philly, and in January of 2017, I get a phone call from Daniel, and he says these words: Kit, I got this idea. We're going to be in a marathon race against 100,000 other people. We're not trained. We have no idea what we're doing, but if we can make it to the finish line, I'm butchering Daniel's words here, but if we make it to the finish line, we could become a powerful force here in Chicago. Aww. Are you in? And me being a crazy Marine, I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. All right. Let's do it. And the story goes from there. Trial and error, Galaxy S7 cell phone, going on 2 radio stations, TV show on Can TV, YouTube, Rumble, Rockfin, Odyssey, Kick, all that good stuff. And
I've been watching a couple of your interviews. They're amazing. With the libertarians the other day, I was just, it's good stuff. So Mastermind, what do you want to know from Mr. C over here as a clone?
As a student, I even wrote it out.
Where's your glasses, honey?
As a student of history, I don't need to read it. So as a student of history and with your military background, do you have any false flag events that have piqued your interest that you've ever looked into?
Yes. So there's been a couple. I think and again, maybe this is just my opinion. Everyone's entitled to it, but I've always found the U.S. expansion led under President William McKinley for the U.S. expansion invasion into Cuba, the Philippines, with the destruction of the USS ship, the Maine. Remember the Maine? The hell was Spain? Which basically, let's be clear about it. The ship had had its own internal combustion. It wasn't a sea mine from Spain. It was an internal combustion, or at least it had mechanical errors that led to the destruction of that ship. And then, of course, there's the Tulkan incident in Vietnam, of course. And, the further I look into it, even more so,
I didn't even get into Vietnam.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about Vietnam. Sorry.
That's Gulf of Tonkin.
Gulf of Tonkin. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. And then, of course,
I didn't research that one.
There's also the situation with 9/11. Now I want to be very careful because again, we are on YouTube. But I do find it interesting in regards towards how that event played out. And I remember I was a kid. I was like a sophomore in high school when that happened, to where we're at now. And again, the fact that a warning was given, like, hey, heads up, this is going to happen. And what does Bush Jr. say? Oh, you covered your asses. Which maybe this is me because I play a lot of military strategy games. When my forces see an invading army, oh crap, we got to stop that right away because they're going to take our city. Again, I like to play Medieval 2, the Total War series. So when I see a horde of enemies coming towards my settlements and my empire, that's kind of a thing you want to stop. You would think. But nonetheless, but then again, too, you also look at other conspiracy theories with the war on drugs, with the CIA. Never ask the CIA its involvement with the cartels and what they've done. So again, there's a lot of things to talk about, but
the cartels.
We're on YouTube.
Yeah, there was a lot of false flags with that. Yeah,
but I would make a recommendation to you guys because I love your show and I love the environment here. Kick and Rumble, please go on Kick and Rumble too when you have the chance. Make that your priority.
I'm still trying to make a Kick profile, so I'm still working on it.
Don't worry, I think you got it. There you go.
You don't need any more competition, kid.
We could be the number one conspiracy.
No, actually, you know what? Okay, so people said to me, "Well, gee, Kit, why do you encourage people to get involved. And I want to keep this short because again, this is your show. Sorry. So again, if you want to tell me to shut up, go ahead.
No.
Shut up. I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
What I say is this.
Yeah.
I want to see more citizen journalists. I want to see more people speaking out. Now people say, well, that's competition. Okay, fine. But I want to see more people speaking out. It shouldn't be one person at the fucking throne. Sorry, I shouldn't swear.
Right.
It shouldn't be one person just doing it. It shouldn't be one authoritative source. There needs to be an engagement of people in this country. And for a long time, we've been silent. So when I say I want to see people step up, it means something. And I'm going to tell you something personally. In 2016, when me and Daniel were at the DNC convention, I'm going to tell you 3 people that inspired me. And they may not know it. Well, but actually, one of them does know it. But I felt that their presence and the words that they were saying to me was like, it's okay, do this too. Jimmy Dore, Tim Black, and Jordan Chariton. This was in 2016. Now, I know everyone has their opinions, but when I interviewed those 3 in Philadelphia way back in 2016, when I talked to them, it was an awakening moment like, you can do this too. And the one thing that always plays in my mind is someday, if Hardlands Media takes off, you know, some people might look to you, Kit, as an inspiration, to which I have to say, it is okay to step forward. Now, being in this business, it is not easy. There are snakes, there are cutthroats, there are people that will disrespect you and lie to your face. There won't be a parade all the time. But if you have what it takes to be part of this and to be a contributing voice to a better future, then do it.
That's why we always try to do solutions, Kit.
I'm not going to be around forever. Because just to quote my grandpa, may he rest in peace, he said to me, Kit, I won't be around for forever. I won't be. Someday I'll be dead. Someday I'll be gone. Maybe next year, or is it at?
It's the same with politics, Kit. So, if you know, I used to do a lot of politics and lobby as well. And as soon as I step out of the arena, it just, and it's not competition. If you have like-minded people that are trying to really hold the government accountable and really, we call ourselves a conspiracy theory show, but I'm pulling things from document websites, comparing
we're a
different
fictional
things.
portrayal of a conspiracy theory show.
Okay, that's great.
And so there you go. I talked enough, but now it's your show. So
Cookie. Well, no, I want to hear what Cookie has to say about one of the first, at least that we're going to start discussing. Starts with.
We're going to go chronological. So
to help us just get a little historical evidence. You know, some observation. Any good theory is formed through observations amongst your peers to be reviewed.
So I've been told.
Yeah. So Cookie was going to talk about Mr. Franz Ferdinand, and it's not a band.
Well,
it is a band, but
okay. And I'm not sure I spelled it right, so nobody make fun of me on that one. I don't know.
It's all right. It does. Well, it does matter, but not for this case.
Franz Ferdinand. It looks right.
It's pictures.
Credit.
Cookie.
I know that's a nice one. You get a nice picture.
Does it look familiar? That picture?
It's kind of it. Who's that guy in the grassy knoll with the sword?
John Cena.
Oh my God. I should have smoked earlier. Yeah, I kind of had a little
Yeah, we missed that opportunity. I mean, just turn your head, whatever. I'm sorry, Cookie, go.
No, it's all right. So, you know, one of the first times that the false flags were ever used for anything heinous was back in World War I. Back in World War I, there was an archduke named Franz Ferdinand, and he was getting married to, I believe she was a Czechoslovakian woman, and there was already a lot of tension in that area. So it was Austria-Hungary that was really like having conflicts with, I think it was the Ottoman Empire, but it was the Balkans. It was tensions in the Balkans that really was causing like a powder keg of like nationalistic and territorial disputes. So on June 28th of 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife were assassinated in Sarajevo, Bosnia, by a Serbian nationalist named Gavrilo Princip. This event triggered a chain of reactions that drew other countries into the war frame. It all happened all at once because following Austria-Hungary's declaration of war, a complex system of alliances came into play. Russia, an ally of Serbia, got mobilized for Serbia. Germany, an ally of Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia, and they pulled France into it. So, all of these things just started a chain of events that got
domino right across. You bet. Yeah.
And what started it all? The false flag of the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Who killed Franz Ferdinand? Historically, it's attributed. That's not a word.
We make up our own words too. It's okay, Cookie.
It's attributed to a nationalistic, real fascist kind of.
The Black Hand. I think that's what
the Black Hand.
That's
or
right.
it was the chauffeur who was part of the Black Hand.
Right. You notice he's leaning back there too.
Yeah.
He could have been.
He made a wrong turn.
Oh, wait, no, are you talking about JFK or France?
Oh.
This is this is probably one of the only cases you can't blame the CIA on, but we'll digress on that one.
Yay! The CIA is like, yes!
He just
this time.
Soda just came out of Mastermind's nose. He'll be right back. We need. Oh, look. Here, I'll just pretend he's here.
It wasn't the CIA this time,
honey?
unless they time traveled.
Well, we're gonna do a show on time traveling aliens.
I would love that, man. There you go.
You're right, honey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hashtag it wasn't the CIA. There you go.
I actually inhaled that. So
well, on that note, Cookie, are you still talking about it, or can Mastermind talk about Pearl Harbor and the other big
go
one?
ahead, man. We were supposed to roll into that, but you kind of got choked up there. So go ahead.
Okay. This is a good one. Oh, I can't see. I'm learning maybe this way. There we go.
So that's the quote from the great John Belushi from Animal House.
Perfect quote.
Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no.
Exactly.
Let him go. He's on a roll.
I actually did when I was a kid. This was stupid. I did my attempt at an alternate history in high school, where like the Germans in World War II. This was they bombed New York City, and so it was like how it was an alternate history, because I always found it interesting that
fictional history.
That the Germans never had like aircraft carriers during World War II, and I decided like, oh, what if we do this? And it was a stupid story as a kid. Don't worry, Allies still win. But I just wanted to switch it up, because I hated because even then it was still a trope, alternate history. Where, gee, what would happen if the Nazis won World War II? Well, it would suck. It would suck if they won. Okay, just like. What would happen if the Confederates won the Civil War? It would suck. It would be terrible. Things would be terrible.
That's too much.
Yeah, Philip K. Dick.
Versus just not having some tech. I'm sorry, what?
Philip K. Dick that did Man in the High Tower.
Man in High Tower. And then there's
Harry. That's the first book you had me read.
And then there's Harry Turtledove, Guns of the South, which is a very interesting alternate history universe.
All right, so we are going to move on to Pearl Harbor. I
never heard of that book.
Oh, I haven't either.
Harry Turtledove, the author? Yeah, no, he's made a couple of ones, a couple of alternate history novels.
Okay. So how much do we all know about Pearl Harbor? I'll kind of open this up to the whole panel because I think it's pretty common knowledge that we had cracked their code, so we knew they were coming. I think the government even admits that.
Mm-hmm. Was it the one on the microdots?
Oh, yeah.
So they used to put the tech like on miniature, like the first nano, but intelligence. It was the size
think that was
of
the Germans.
A period. No, it was us.
Oh.
And that's how we found out about the Japanese. I think that was the Pearl Harbor that we were watching.
Oh, I don't know.
Microdots.
Well,
not the LSD kind.
Well, not the fun kind.
There was at least before the initial attack, there was radio signatures or not signatures, but signals and intelligence indicating that something was going to be happening at Pearl Harbor, in which naval intelligence was aware of, and at least mid-tier officers. Again, I don't know the individual's name. Again, I'll leave it to historians, but they did try and warn up high command, to which it was dismissed because no one ever would think anyone would attack the United States, and all our battleships were there. Thank goodness our aircraft carriers weren't there.
Well,
But,
Talking about
if you're going
that,
conspiracy theory,
Yeah.
you would think that it's odd that all the aircraft carriers were out of there, and then 5 out of the 7 ships that were hit in Pearl Harbor were already being scheduled to be decommissioned. So they just left their garbage in Pearl Harbor, and so they got all the good ships out of town.
right.
And the sad thing is those planes, they got 16 B-2 bombers,
I didn't.
and they wouldn't have been there because if the U.S. Navy wasn't as bad at time zones as I am when I'm trying to figure out what time this plays and tell people it's 6 p.m. Pacific, and then I have to go like that to 9 p.m. Eastern. I guess the Navy has the same problem because they were a day behind.
Right.
And so they were going to fly in those B-2s the day before Pearl Harbor so that when they come in, they can take off, show how dumb the Japanese were for coming over, show their air superiority. But they were a day late and $1 short. And so they were just landing when the raid happened, when the bombing happened.
So what is fascinating is that it was allowed to take place. And, there's always this talk of how much did the naval intelligence know? How much did the high naval command know? And did this go all the way up to Roosevelt's desk himself? To which, again, it's easy to say, well, everybody knows everything. And, and let's be clear, Roosevelt was a different kind of president than what we're used to. So when Roosevelt is the definition, both Theodore and FDR, the definition of the buck stops here with me. That's what you want out of a leader. Because
in 1942, when you say the buck stops, he was attributed to starting the OSS, which was the beginning of the CIA. And then he also started the Joint Chief of Staffs, which is so involved together with all the false flags that I was researching about with Joint Chief of Staff.
And the thing is, perhaps
that's the OSS right there.
My interpretation of it, or at least how it's working, or at least how it's playing on my mind is, whether or not Roosevelt knew there was going to be attack, the aftermath of it, he created an industrial, or at least the stepping stones or the platforms of what would be the proto-industrial complex of the response of the real threat of the Empire of Japan and Nazi Germany in regards to creating a strong military force. Because again, the United States was not what it is today. It was a whole new player in global affairs, and there was a long isolation.
Well, they didn't want to offend NATO. Or the UN. They didn't want to offend the UN. That's why everything was covert.
UN and NATO didn't exist. It came after World War II.
Oh, I'm talking about in the 60s. I'm sorry. I was already talking about OSS. You were still talking about OSS in that era. I'm sorry. I jumped way ahead, my brain.
We're going sequentially.
I went straight from World War II to the 60s.
We jammed a lot of information.
I don't.
No, but my take on that is that they needed an attack from Japan to get public sentiment to get into the war, because there were too many Germans in America and too many isolationists in America that they needed to get punched in the nose, and B, they needed an enemy that didn't look like most of America, and that's their way to back in to start killing Nazis.
Yeah, and again, because my grandpa grew up during that time, and I did ask him, like, hey, how come you guys didn't grow, were ready to throw down? And I remember he said to me nonchalantly, like, kid, we didn't want to be involved in Europe stuff. Like, we never did. We never wanted to
join late.
We joined in late. But he also said, like, everybody remembered the first, because my great grandfather, he served in the First World War, but he wasn't in the European theater. He was part of the Polar Bear expedition in Russia, or what was the Russian Empire, which would later on be the Soviet Union. So, even then, I heard stories of where my great grandfather would find some of his friends like frozen stiff, or people frozen stiff because of that. And my great grandfather told my grandfather when he was still a young man, hey, we shouldn't be involved in these other countries' wars. we need to stay out. It's the last thing we need to do because the next one we may not be so lucky. Again, there was a big isolationist movement and a very big anti-war movement. And Pearl Harbor was that syringe shot to get Americans involved because it was a very, have you guys ever seen a person really get hit for the first time? Like the shock of it, like the shock
I used to box. Yeah.
But when you see it, or either that it happens to you, like when you really get hit for the first time, it's like, oh,
yeah.
And we all go through that moment.
Well, numb.
That was the first time the United States really got somebody, and we got laid out on the ground.
Pearl Harbor.
It is something that connects, and Pearl Harbor was that. And what did it lead
Kit,
to?
I have a question then, and maybe you guys addressed it. I'm doing like 5 other things, and I'm sorry if this is a repeat, but do you feel that, this is a false flag that they didn't necessarily cause, but they just allowed to happen? Which, can that even be considered a false flag? Like looking at the ethics?
2 ways.
And
There's 2 ways to look at it. And look, I have a close affinity to Japan because I got family members in Japan, and not only that, like my family.
I didn't think of asking if this would offend you. Too.
No. It's fine. I'm not Japanese. I'm not Japanese. But I have family members who are Japanese or half Japanese.
Okay.
And my great grandfather and all my family members, we have a very long history of living in Japan or visiting Japan. So it's all interconnected. But let's be very clear what the Empire of Japan was. I mean, it was aggressively expanding forward, and Roosevelt, whether he knew it or not, as soon as he cut off all these resources and oils to the Empire of Japan, Japan did respond. So there was going to be a conflict. And we have to remember that the United States and other European powers did give that boost with the Meiji Restoration to make Japan in a modern society, because it did industrialize very fast.
Absolutely.
Because again, we could be here for hours on end talking about the Meiji Restoration, because I love that part of Japanese history, the Meiji Restoration. You're talking about a generation of people that grew under feudal Japan when the samurai warlords were still around, to then finally having trains and telegraphs and other modern attributes. And so it's quite a shock to the system. But Japan was going to be engaging with conflict with the United States. And, it's like, okay, do we let this happen? Do we don't let this happen? But war was coming, whether we wanted it or not.
Yeah. I'm not.
What's wrong?
Huh? Nothing's wrong.
I didn't hear. I was doing banners and stuff. You want to talk about Cuba a little bit, or do you want to cover Tonka? Because we didn't even touch Vietnam really as a major subject, because I really want to talk about weapons of mass destruction and 9/11, which this whole show, it's, a way
we are supposed to
honor this. We're at like 40 minutes. I'm going to talk about Northwood just briefly because it connects like a unifying theme. Even though there's
turn into a pumpkin,
like, universities that, I caregive for my mom at 9 o'clock. I turn into a pumpkin. So a university that thinks that, conspiracy theorists will use Northwood as an example of how the government can do false flags against their own residents or their own citizens. And so I just, since the MK Ultra show, I've done a really big deep dive into the history of the CIA. And just as much as you like that Japanese genre, I'm like really getting into like the whole spy CIA 1940s era. My mom graduated in 1948. Like, she's from that era. And my dad served in World War II. He was born in Sicily, but the paper changed. Who's a boomer? I'm a boomer.
He was a ball gunner, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in the because he was a little dude. He was 4'11". Oh. Yeah, right. Anyway, I'm really into Northwoods, and sorry, I'm taking off my army clothes.
All right.
I had my army coat.
For science.
Yes, for science. Anything for science. Anyway, and because it gets deep, like JFK and Mastermind and Cookies explained to me that probably Northwoods and JFK assassination could be related. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole because there's still documents that Trump and Biden didn't put out yet that completed that whole California, or it's called Califino papers.
Yeah.
There's not, there's a bunch of documents that are like surrounded around Cuba. So basically JFK gets into office and he gets right into the Bay of Pigs, which was a mess. It was like 1,400 people. There were Cuban, what is it called when you go against someone?
Dissident, but
it starts with an E.
E?
I think so. Anyway, a bunch of people that were mad at Cuba, they trained them to go and infiltrate their own country, right? And then they got captured. And then they came up with a document, the CIA came up with a document, it's called Operation Mongoose, and they proposed it because RFK, Robert and John were really embarrassed, his whole
I think the plan actually
presidency was based on fighting the Cubans because we didn't want Russia to come in during the Cold War, right? Because they could have access to it and stuff. And I'm explaining it like this for people who don't know, I just learned all this. I thought it was great. Anyway, what did you say, Mastermind?
I think the plans actually, most of those plans came from Eisenhower's administration.
Eisenhower came up with Mongoose. Operation Mongoose.
That's just like
right.
Oh, I wanted to say happy birthday to the Patriot Act. This is 9/11.
So we did it.
And just like that, that Patriot Act was on the shelves for like a decade, and they were just waiting for the right excuse.
Right. Yeah. Cookie, what?
I was challenged to saying that I don't wear pants.
Oh, you don't?
Mousef, how dare you?
Mouse,
that was very.
You should know.
Very racist.
Oh, I didn't see it. You usually wear a kilt. Well, that's what I did. The bunny picture I chose. You were no Mastermind's Scottish. Come on now. I'm glad we didn't find that out till after we got married. Lord knows what he would have worn to the wedding with no unders and just it would have been. All right. So anyway, talking about the juicy part is can I just read some of the stuff out of this document? Have you ever read it, Kit or Cookie or Mastermind?
Well, of course, I read it.
I am somewhat familiar with it, but please take the charge of it.
Okay. Well,
give us the hot notes.
So it's like a run of documents almost, and they wanted to find out what the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which are basically the heads of the whole Department of Defense, right? All the heads, and they sit in the Pentagon. And they control all the little war stuff. This is such a dude show. I was like, oh, come on. Like all the, I used to play Risk, but that was about the extent of it with all that. But it is fun. Anyway, so you get your hands on all these documents like we can't get on 9/11 till probably, another 30 years. And it's talking about how we could do different things like blowing up a U.S. ship in Guantanamo Bay. So basically, the United States, like I was saying earlier to Kit, is they can't offend the UN. And that's what I got confused when you were talking about the 40s, is we don't want to offend them. So we were trying to do everything covert, and underhandedly. And it's just clear as day. And actually, JFK approved one of the first underhanded things. Oh, this is from the 80s. Sorry. This is different false flag. Yeah,
how the times have changed, huh? Because back in that day, you didn't want to offend the UN, and JFK was doing things for them. RFK is looking to screw them over, and the UN gets insulted by the US and Israel.
And we don't care if we offend them now, whereas before that was their justification and keeping it.
No longer gives an F.
So they're like harassment plus deceptive actions to convince the Cubans of imminent invasion would be emphasized. A series of well-coordinated incidents. And when I showed Mastermind this, he was like, ooh, it's like a wish list. And you can kind of see it up here. That's okay. It's meant to be abstract. But like start rumors, many. Use clandestine radio. Capture Cuban-friendly saboteurs inside the base. We could blow up a U.S. ship in Guantanamo Bay and blame Cuba. List casualties in the U.S. newspapers, and it would cause a helpful wave of national indignation. And then it gets into how to hurt all the countries. These are like 200-page documents. My eyes are twitching. And
just
then
taking examples from Pearl Harbor.
So this is where we can start talking about weapons of mass destruction. This totally tripped me out. okay, so part of where 9/11 sort of meets Northwoods, and I see why people who are counter conspiracy theorists are making fun of conspiracy theorists connecting the two, because it's almost like a little playbook, except they put the word drone in there. So it says things like hijacking attempt against civil air and surface craft should appear to continue as harassing measures condoned by the government of Cuba. The passengers could be a group of college students off on a holiday or any grouping of persons with the common interest to support charting a non-scheduled flight. So this is a CIA document written to, it was released in 2012, I think, as part of the JFK, I think it was. I'm sorry, I'm looking when it was published. I mean, this is the 60s, but anyway, I just wanted to get context.
It is the, she's looking at like photocopy and it says
well, I got a little picture up there. Okay, so, and at designated time, okay, so now they get into, you get a flight, you hire a bunch of, you put a bunch of civilians in it, with civilian names, but it could just be CIA agents acting in that name. And then you get another flight that looks just like it, like maybe the, Kit was talking about the weapons of mass destruction and in the rockets.
Where'd they go?
Where'd they go? Look at that. All right. So, but anyway, I'm almost there, you guys. And so they designated this duplicate plane and they would do a little switcheroo on that and then make sure they do a Mayday message stating that they were under attack by the Cubans. And that's basically it. And then basically Joint Chief of Staff, and that took me down that hole because they said, and quote, in 1962, determination that a credible internal revolt is impossible of attainment during the next 9 to 10 months, because they had to hurry up and fight. They didn't like Fidel and, they wanted to hurry up and start the war there. And it will require a decision by the United States to develop a Cuban provocation. I'm a pseudo-intellectual, is that right? Provocation, quote unquote, as justification for positive U.S. military action. All right, I'm done. You guys get the rest. Weapons of mass destruction, go!
You can't do that because...
I know.
I'm sorry.
Please reflect. No, it's good. Oh, and I got the little false flag recruitment, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, you guys maybe want to reflect on that. What do you think?
For was what weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? You mean the false flag for that being raised up?
No, the Northwoods. Do you have anything? Maybe.
Well, just how all I was going to say was, if history doesn't repeat, it definitely rhymes. And where did they get the idea? We'll talk about the Twin Tower attack, but yeah, it's starting to sound like they were refreshing an old playbook.
Right.
Well, we've seen this playbook before, and the thing is, what's the one thing to scare every? Hold on, I'm probably gonna butcher the quote, but if y'all remember the line from Close Encounters for the Third Kind, when all the generals and commanders and big scientists, big wigs are all there, and they're all agreeing like, hey, these aliens are coming, and there's one general that says, all right, we have to scare every single Christian American. What can we do? And they talk about a train derailment with some chemicals and everyone's running out there. How do you scare the American people to go along with it? Oh, this place will have weapons of mass destruction. And then kaboom, there's a nuke. And the thing is, again, if we look back, not within the 80s or 90s, but if we look at the 50s, 60s, and 70s, the atomic bomb and the the height of the Cold War. I mean, people were very afraid of what these weapons can do, and there was a real threat. I mean, my mom would tell me stories how they did duck and cover, and which is like,
that.
And so when you hear of a potential nation doing this, or is it at some country that could get weapons of mass destruction, that's going to scare people and saying, okay, well, we got to stop them. And, the sad truth is that, the United States is the only country that's ever used atomic weapons or nuclear weapons on another nation. And I've been to the Peace Museum in Japan, in Hiroshima. And that
I used to protest with that.
Yeah.
The 100th Monkey anti-nuclear armament in the early 90s and the first Bush, but
and look,
I wanted go ahead. Sorry.
what I was going to say is like
Please.
that whole museum will change you. If anybody ever visits Hiroshima and goes into the Peace Museum, you're going to walk out a changed person, because the artifacts and the photos and the paintings and the pictures, everything, it will stay with you, and it still stays with me to this day. I still have a book that I got at the museum that was there, and
Me too, Kat. I tried so hard
it
to.
put me in my place.
Yeah, I'm sure. Made you feel small.
Yeah.
Well,
Cookie was going to talk about the deception behind weapons of mass destruction, and we kind of skim over like blood for oil, like with the first Bush, and he's going to focus more on finishing Daddy's job. That was a Cookie quote. Do we still have you, Cookie?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
All right, awesome. We'll talk about that was false flag recruitment a little bit more with the OSS. We'll just talk about this really quick. It was just a different type of false flag with Israel, and it's when a country hires another.
Right. If they think they're working for Russia when they're working for Israel, or they think they're working for Turkey when they're actually working for the CIA.
And he drove his car through
backdoor their information. If somebody doesn't like the USA, they can say, "Oh yeah, I'm from Russia," and say, "Oh, I hate those USA. Yeah, I'll spy for you."
Well, and this was in the CIA files because of they were really shocked that Israel would hire a spy from it was a United States citizen, or he did spy Navy stuff, an analyst. He was a Navy analyst, but anyway, and that was in the 80s. Because I was like, well, what is a false flag? Cookie talked about it started with friendly attire and not caring who's blamed.
Yeah,
to
it was
war
the Russians
stuff.
pretend to be Mossad, and so they thought that they were spying for Mossad when they were giving all their info to the Kremlin.
Like the ADL defining it as conspiracy theorists and representing the insurrection. So false flag has really changed meaning through history as well. And anyway, I just thought. So Cookie was going to talk about Bush Jr., Edward E. Newman. I mean, Bush
That's
Jr. Oh, well, I don't have another. I will stay on the.
Put it on. Oh, no, put it on number 2.
On number 2.
Slide number 2.
You're
please.
number 2.
Can you play out slide number
Cookies.
2?
Oh, there we go.
I
I liked him in the kilt, though, because if he's not wearing pants,
right.
this is my favorite.
There we
His
go.
hair's-
Look at that.
One day I peeked in and you were running on and you had your little shirt and you were fixing your hair real nice. And I was like, he likes his hair. Make it blow back.
You know what? I'm very proud. Look, because I
It
am.
is nice.
I will one day have to accept the fact that someday I will lose this. And right now I'm growing my hair long because it's my last FU
Last
to father
hurrah.
time. It's my last
Right.
hurrah. So when it finally becomes too thin, then I will be bald, bearded kid. So there we go.
Well, I went through that, and then I started growing the hair back. I just ignore the bald spot now because I'm 6'2", so you got to be on a ladder. Most people have to be on a ladder to see it.
Yeah, so don't worry. The hair's still here, but I thank you. I love that photo. It's very beautiful.
I know. It's wonderful. Cookie.
What up?
Hit me with those imaginary WMDs.
I'm pretty sure I ignored the second Bush. I protested so much with the first one. I was like, I'm done.
Well, that's what I want to know. What Bush number 1? I want to know what he learned in the 1 year that he was a CIA director, that he got so much information that he could secure not only his presidency, but the presidency of his
Child.
jag-off son.
Oh.
Cokehead.
Spawn.
Yeah. Frat boy. No,
Sleeves
frat boy.
get
Son. I'll just say
degrees.
frat boy.
Oh, okay.
Frat boy's good.
All right.
It was
Enough.
Jeb.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're not going to insult your way into the presidency.
Oh, no. That would
Yes,
be really
I am.
bad. Okay.
Sorry, Cookies.
No, it's all right, man. So I want to talk about this article on Mother Jones. It was printed on March 20th, 2023. They talk about how the reason I want to bring up this article is because it talks about how Bush and Dick Cheney launched this war in Iraq. I'm gonna cite it sparingly, but if you guys want to read it, I'll put the link in the chat. And the main thing I want to talk about here on this one is how they focused on showing proof that, Dick Cheney and George W. Bush both knew that there were lies, and it wasn't just a lie. It was a crime. It's a war crime what they did, because they lied about someone having those weapons of mass destruction, and they used that as an excuse to go in there and murder a lot of people. It's what we did. We have to come to that realization.
Cookie, can I ask you a question? Because you called it a war crime.
Sure.
I was thinking it was like, why can't we sue when we finally can prove like certain things when they're like a false flag? Mm-hmm. Why can't we sue them for financial, like the cost of war? I started researching that crap.
Oh my God.
Just between death and the financial stuff. I mean, yeah, we
That's
make money. We do produce as well. We produce to the GPD with our military industrial complex. But anyway, sorry, Cookie. I thought it was interesting that you said it was a war crime. How come we can't get our justice chief? Anyway, go ahead, Cookie.
No,
I'm sorry.
because it doesn't matter. Both
Very good
parties
point.
are not. Both parties this time are trying to be the police. What do they call law and order party? Kamala's trying to be law and order. Trump's law and order. Funny thing is that all their people talk about incarcerating criminals, but what they do instead is vote for them. Everybody up there that they vote for is a criminal, and everybody accepts it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
well, it's how it's always been, though, because if we look at, especially with the aftermath of the Vietnam War, with the and especially the assassination of JFK, we entered into an era in which the presidency can be controlled, in which corporations were finally gaining their influence, because there was a point in this country where journalism did actually hold the powers that be accountable. It was independent. It was dedicated journalists that held the Nixon administration accountable, and to where even people of the Nixon administration would yell at the bosses at the New York Times, and you know what the boss of the New York Times would say to their staff? Hey, guess what? You're getting a raise. The president and his staff is pissed off at you, as it should be, because they were doing their job. But of course, you have corporations worming their way in, buying off the media outlets, and controlling
corporate America.
Exactly.
Mediopoly.
And the thing is, this was, again, I don't want to praise anybody too much, because I don't want to make a hero, because I like to joke about Aurelian being the savior of the world, even though he was a Roman emperor.
Who?
Probably the one who saved the world, Aurelian, the emperor, emperor of the third crisis, or crisis.
I thought you were the emperor.
No, he's a king.
He asked, the emperor overlord or whatever. He was the emperor. I just fact checked it.
Long story onto that. Story for another day. But
I'm talking about the video that Mastermind did, calling you the emperor.
And
you ever read that?
All you got to do is ask Alexia.
And that's a work of art. But Roosevelt, when he was implementing his New Deal, I mean, that was a shock to the high echelon of society. Even though it could have gone further, all those people in those rich families were suffering from extreme PTSD for its reaction to what Roosevelt was doing, because it empowered people. It also led to the stepping stones of a middle class. Was it all that great for everybody? No. But as soon as we get into the 70s and 80s, we're seeing these tycoons and these big business elite people, Wall Street, trying to gain control, because you cannot have the people too out of control. You got to have a narrative. You have to have. So
you're saying corporate America didn't hit till the 70s or 80s?
Well, you guys got to slow down. He's already mentioned JFK. He mentioned, so I got to put that I got to put that link in the description. He's talking about the hippies taking control. So now I got to put the Wheel of Time description.
The hippies did take control.
And, there was another one. See, you guys are going to. There was a third one that he mentioned, and I'd have to put down in the.
I still want to hear why it was a war crime, Cookie.
God damn it! That was a while ago.
I didn't forget. I'm bringing us back, baby. I'm bringing us back.
That's why we got to get you a cameraman so we can see
you.
You should have had that up like 15 minutes ago.
I'm sorry. Oh. No, we're good. We're all right.
Weapons of mass destruction. I'll knock it out in 2 minutes. So
it's a war crime.
No, dude. Take your time.
It was wonderful what you said. I never thought of it like that. It was provoking.
On.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right, it's a war crime because they had said repeatedly, hey, they have weapons of mass destruction. They have the ability to get weapons of mass destruction. They'll get it from Saddam Hussein. They used that to invade Iraq, kill Saddam Hussein, and their hands are clean. They did what they needed to do. Now they said, oh, we got to move out. We're going to Afghanistan instead. Bye.
We have a video at the end that talks about that whole investigation on Bush about whether there was weapons of mass destruction and the anthrax stuff.
Yeah, it's 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's just 2 minutes.
Quickie, and then we're gonna play music from. Since I'm
not right now though.
No,
now we got to talk about 9/11.
Yeah,
and
okay. Should I? I'll save
the things that served us.
I'll save the music for later.
Yeah, he's so obsessed with the music. I'm like, oh my god, let's do something else. As much as I am with the CIA, you're getting obsessed with the music.
Dennis Pana, Pauna. He's Croatian, so when I say it, it makes him sound like he's from like South Pacific, like he's Samoan, but.
You know where I'm going to transport us?
Oh.
To
here we are.
Something not so positive. Because it's today, we're remembering it, and I'm really confused about things. Just, I'm not sure what to think. So, and I haven't let Mastermind tell me a lot.
I've been going back and forth because, she can look up facts and look up papers on all this other stuff. But the stuff that happened at 9/11, you have to go into the dark corners to find the information.
Other than
your common sense.
Weapons of mass destruction false flag. I agree with that. I think, there's like literally, or it could have been a political witch hunt onto
There's lots
Bush.
of reasons. There's lots of reasons.
Well, that's a whole false flag in itself too, is political gain.
Well, and that's why it's a conspiracy, because it was a country and our country that worked in unison for their own, strange bedfellows. Well, obviously not strange bedfellows there, but and then you had the guy that bought it, Larry Silverstein. Bought the Twin Towers a month and a half before. So in late July, and then he insured it for double of what it's worth. And then, I'm just saying we'll talk about our government.
Disappear back behind them.
Right.
So you don't see my reaction.
Yeah, she does not like it when I talk like that. So
hey, real quick, let me interrupt you and reiterate to everyone in the audience and any agents that might be listening. We are just discussing things. We are not experts. We are two goofballs discussing conspiracy theories.
This is a fictional parody. This is a fictional parody of what a couple knuckleheads would do.
Also, as someone who was actually, because in 2015, I believe, when my mother and stepfather used to live in New York State, we actually did visit the World Trade Center because I wanted to see the Ghostbuster Firehouse.
Right.
And the thing is, the Ghostbuster Firehouse is not that far away from the World Trade Center, actually. So we were actually there. I actually, went there. And the thing is, I remember my mom crying, and this was again 2015. So again, everyone has a smartphone, but people were taking photos. It was like a tourist spot, and I remember this one girl. She was on this placket, and she was just crying, absolutely in tears. And I didn't want to, go up to. I wanted to say like, "Hey, are you okay?" But I was like, maybe just give her a piece. But my mom was crying, and she's like, "Kid, I can't stand people are taking photographs. It was like Disney World.
Circus.
Right.
Yeah, it was like Disney World. And I just remember
her baby for his life, I get it why she was crying. I don't let the military near my son. I'm sorry. That's where my mama bear comes out.
And so I just went up to my stepdad like, hey, look, we got to get out of here. And I just remember saying to him like, I'm never going to go ahead and visit that spot again because it to me, it looked like Disney World. And this was 2015. And I'm like, wow, it was
I get
14 years later.
Really,
I get it. Or selling shirts because I survived a ammonium perchlorate rocket fuel explosion. And on the way back from Red Cross tents with a green cloud over our head, they were selling T-shirts on the side of the road that said, I survived the blast. I get it.
There's always that opportunity.
There's that corporate.
And then there's that, there's that goofy pier in Pearl Harbor over the Arizona, kind of the,
If you want one of those shirts for free, just go to George Santos and he hands them out to you after he's done with it.
Oh.
Yeah, talking about eating dogs earlier.
Ew. What?
You survived the blast.
Trump was talking about people eating their cats, and you didn't watch the debate.
Yeah, you didn't watch the show, did you?
I don't want to know.
Yeah,
I do not want to know.
It was
I've already had Trump derangement syndrome once. I don't need it again. Thank you. He really was talking about eating dogs on the national debate.
Did he say
Better than
dogs or
talking
cats?
about fucking
Probably
golf.
He said both. He said pets, I believe.
Yeah, pets.
Yeah, he's saying pets. Yes. So there you
Well,
go.
and I
Sweaty.
think he was
I
conflating
don't like
stories because there was the story of that lady that was doing bath salts and ate
Okay,
somebody's cat.
enough. Can we go
Yeah.
back to 9/11?
Well, yes,
now I know you're bringing us
a
back.
happier story. You want a happier
Well,
story
no,
than eating cats?
I have some sad news though, because it finally surpassed. Just really quick about statistics, because I was looking at the cost and the both through death and injury and stuff through the vets. And 9/11, they came out with a stat that overall there's more people that passed away from the side effects of 9/11 than they did actually the day of. So like the first responders on the day of, 343 died. And as of this month in 2024, 360 have died altogether for post 9/11. Altogether, though, the day of, there were 2,974 people, but overall, 4,343 people have died post. So I had asked for my guess.
Silverstein. He was at a dentist proctology appointment that day. The owner of the building ate lunch every day on the top of building 2, I think, at 1 or 2, whatever. But that was the one day that he didn't because he had a doctor's appointment and he missed out on the whole thing.
How convenient.
I don't know if you believe in convenient.
Well, one last stat. Can you guess? Maybe I'll just ask Kit or Cookie, because you already know, don't say. How many people do you think have side effects from 9/11 that were there that day near the buildings?
That survived?
That have survived or are sick now? Through either like silica, metal, asbestos, sand, concrete, glass effects. How many people got sick?
If I had to give a ballpark estimate with the blast radius and everyone in the city,
he's really educated about it.
Gee, I don't. If I'm shooting from the hip here, maybe 50 to 100. Might have been affected by it.
Okay. 34. 34K.
34K. Okay, I'm sorry.
Mastermind said 4.
Yeah, I said 4,000. I was a
little optimistic there, honey.
No. I see. Look, knowing the things I've seen and I've been through, I always expect the worst. My grandpa, listen. I used to watch a lot of Dateline and Nightline shows about MLMs and all these scams. And my grandpa would always say, "Hey, expect the worst always, Kit. That way you won't be disappointed." And it's like, okay. So that's why I shot higher. I'm sorry, folks, if I wasn't that fully prepared. But you
were like closer than I was.
Wow.
You got to shoot high sometimes. But again, with the way these buildings are set up, but you want just on a light note, because 9/11 is so serious. But you want to know what will never happen though? We will never see the Simpsons episode of 9/11 aired on TV ever again. Or at least when Homer went to New York, and Homer throughout that episode hated New York City. And there's a scene in particular where his car is impounded, and it's right there at the World Trade Center. And there are 2 guys yelling at the World Trade Center, and one guy says, "Yeah, they put all the jerks in Tower 2." So it's like,
I was post or pre? Did they tell the future? They tell the future. Like, that's a good conspiracy theory. I want to do lighthearted conspiracy theories, because we just do such heavy shit that we're like, oh God, this is so depressing. How do you make jokes about this? People blew up.
The Simpsons go to New York. That's an episode that will never air on TV ever again.
For sure. So
Mountain Dew or crab juice. That's right, Rondo. Mountain Dew or crab juice. Give me crab juice.
Yeah, give me the crab juice.
Ew, what?
So I'm gonna fast forward past Larry Silverstein. No. I'm gonna fast forward past the dancing Israelis, because I don't want to sleep on the couch.
What about
tonight.
that little girl, that little evil girl? Oh, I'm sorry.
But yeah, we'll get to her. But I did want to talk about Building 7. And I wanted to know about how many people remember Building 6, or did they memory hole that for you as well?
Berenstein Bears or Berenstein Bears?
Right. I'm looking in chat. Does anybody know who? Does anybody know what happened to Building 6 and who was in it? I'll give them a second.
Someone did mention breakdancing.
Yeah, right. Well, I have to skip that part.
Yeah, I know.
But they were on, just because I don't speak that language and the translator could be lying to me, I'm not allowed to use the video of them when they went back to Israel and went on their version of Dr.
Someone's
Phil.
talking about Building 7, but nothing about Building 6.
Okay, so Building 7, we all got to see that. That was controlled demolition. I don't think there's anybody that knows anything about physics that would argue that.
You really went down the rabbit hole with
but Building 6 was a little one. That was 7 floors. It was the tiniest of the World Trade Center. And because crap fell on it or something, they ended up demolishing it.
What were the 2 other building numbers? Say it again.
Well, 1 and 2 are the big ones.
1 and 2. Okay.
7, that's the meme that's, it's like never forget. And then they show Building 7 and it's like, forgot. Yeah.
Okay.
So
thank you for explaining that. Now I'm up and up.
6,
okay.
They tore that down. That on the top floor was U.S. Customs Service. On the 6th floor was United States Department of Commerce, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, United States Department of Labor, U.S. Export Assistance Center. And then we have 5, 4, 3, which are a mystery. I'm wikiing it, but
what?
Yeah. And then on the 2nd floor was Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. So I was assuming that they got all 6 through 2. Then the level was the North Bridge of the World Financial Center escalator.
So they blew all these buildings up?
This is all one building. That's it.
You're talking about the floors.
But then in the basement, then they had storage, loading docks, the lower lobby, and the firing range. So that's where the ATF was locking and loading and doing all their stuff. But it's interesting. And Building 7 was a building inside itself. It had its own diesel generators.
Wait, slow down for a second, hon. Why are you describing the basement? Did I miss it? And I was looking at comments.
The firing range for the ATF. Yeah. Why?
Because something happened?
Well, if they have their firing range down there, then they also would probably have any vault down there that would be possibly. So a while back, when I think it was when Obama was elected, the government started buying up rounds. So like, for some reason, the U.S. Postal Service was buying up millions of rounds because the government couldn't buy all the ammo. They have to break it up into different. Yeah, well, they have to just. It's like a shell company. Right. They're shuffling,
like a reserve.
Yeah.
All right.
So they had to have a place to store all that stuff.
Fun. So
anywho, I'm getting the look. So I'm going to get off 9/11. I just wanted to have people
just didn't understand.
And I got a reliable source that we should look into Flight 77, the one that went into the Pentagon, if it wasn't a missile, and it was actually.
I already went down my rabbit hole
with the Barbara Olson. Did we have
Barbara
her picture?
Olson? No, you didn't.
I didn't bring the picture. She was an author and a pundit. Like, she was on CNN. She did the rounds there, but she wrote books on Hillary Clinton. And not the good way. And she was actually headed to do a show. I think it was Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher, of all things. But she was flying into New York, and she was on Flight 77 that went into the Pentagon.
So what are you saying? She was one of our dead journalists?
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, right. If Hillary had her way, she would be very happy that happened. I think she had to sue to get final edit on the book that they made post. They did her last book posthumously.
Right.
And
Mastermind, I'm gonna interrupt you real quick because
sure.
I'm a pop quiz kid here real quick.
Right on.
All right.
Movie pop quiz. What is your What is the first movie that pops into your head that still had the Twin Towers in it?
Thank you for this one. It is actually King Kong, the one in the 1970 version. Where the World Trade Center's in it because he climbs the World Trade Center.
Yes.
And also,
That was a good movie.
also, wait a minute. One other thing here too. Of course, because the reason why the girl didn't die in the boat is because she went above because everyone else was watching Deep Throat. Again, no, that's a line in the movie. That's a line in the movie. She says that, but there's an SNL skit because this is after 9/11. And so they're doing like a voiceover dub. Again, it was a stupid skit, but now I look back at it, it's like a Coca-Cola classic. Right. And so they're doing a voiceover and they're saying Kong is going to climb the World Trade Chrysler Building. Every time they're saying like the World Trade, they say something else, and they're saying Kong, don't climb that building.
It's like not using, like when I sing my rap music, I got to use the word ninja.
Ninja?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait, better yet. Hold on, Bad Cookies. I got something else better for you.
Oh, man.
Do you remember the first Marvel movie to actually have the World Trade Centers in a trailer?
Oh. Was it X-Men?
Oh, no, my friend.
I was thinking Avengers. Marvel.
Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire.
Right. The upside down kiss.
That's right.
That was my favorite.
I keep forgetting Spider-Man's Marvel. I know he used to be Sony for so long.
Yeah. No. He was in Sony, but this was like, again, it was Marvel. Yeah. But yeah, so like there's like the trailer starts off like there's these bank robbers coming in, they get in a helicopter, and then all of a sudden the helicopter gets stopped in midair, and like, what's going on? And then there it is, the spider web right between the World Trade Center.
Yes.
Right on. Sorry to derail the conversation, but I had a
No, I love it, Cookie. It was awesome. It's very relevant because
you got me off 9/11.
Well, no, I just thought maybe you were talking about your main points being that something wonky with the buildings, the building owner, only one thing, and those I kind of had counter arguments on.
The thing I wanted to say, because you were talking about all of the health damage from 9/11, and that a lot of that was all the asbestos and the silica that came out when they brought it down.
Yeah.
And if you want to imagine, see the problem with, he bought this building and it was only half full.
Yeah.
It was only half full when these brothers, and so they couldn't fill it. No, I mean, only half of the offices were filled in the World Trade, in the 1 and 2. And so, yeah, it was a nightmare. So it was really weird that he would want to spend $3.2 billion and get a 99-year lease. And what they were talking about was
developed a lot of laws
taking it
around
down,
anti-terrorism,
but they couldn't.
And sky build and not sky buildings. What are they called?
Okay,
not sky rockets. How are those buildings called?
Cloud houses.
It's my
cloud houses.
Brain injury. I can't say the word. Skyscraper.
Well, yeah, but you got. I'm glad you're talking about sky. I don't mean to derail the conversation, but there's something else that's always really stayed with me, and all of a sudden, I'm having a flashback of when. Sometime after 9/11. So my grandpa was an engineer, okay, and he worked for Montgomery Ward's way back in the day. So he knew some of the best minds of architects and engineering. He studied with people like Maholi Nagy. He studied at the Art Institute. So he knew about
makers.
Yeah, so he knew about designing and building. And I remember one time I caught, like, he was up in the living room, he was watching TV, he was drinking 2 martinis, but he was walking back and forth, and he had this look on his face, like something, like it was really puzzling him. And I was a kid, so I was like high school. And I said to him, Grandpa, is everything okay? And he turns to me and says, Kit, there's something that doesn't add up about what happened that day. And I'm like, well, what do you mean, Grandpa? And he was like, that plane should have bounced off that building. And I said, well, what do you mean? He says, if a plane did that to the John Hancock building or the Sears Tower, friction and speed, it could have bounced off. something doesn't add up.
Well, why
And I
did the
just
plane
don't-
pancake? Right.
That's what he got
Exactly.
excited and studied all that with another industrial scientist for 5 days straight.
Well, and there's never been a steel building that's burned down before.
Right.
And it happened 3 times in one day.
And if you look at the buildings here in Chicago, the only other building, and again, it's probably built differently. The only other building that looks like the World Trade Center is like the Amco building here in Chicago. It's like it's this one single white tall building.
That's the one with the slanted diamond roof.
No. It looks just. I don't want to say it looks just like the World Trade Center, but it's like a mini version of it. It kind of looks like. So if you were to see it, oh yeah, it kind of looks like it, but it ain't. And then you have the John Hancock building, which is like the building with all the X's on it. And then there's the famous Sears Tower. And these buildings are built like strong and tough, especially dealing with Chicago winters and the winds. And if a plane were to crash into them, they bounce off because, you know, there have been instances of planes crashing into buildings, but didn't go through, but kind of hanging on there. I forget which building it was. It might have been the Empire State Building where like a propeller plane, you know, hit one of the buildings and was there hanging on. You know, I mean, again, I got to look for it now. So here I'm shooting from the hip.
Right.
But all of a sudden I'm just remembering that conversation. I love my grandpa. May he rest in peace. But he was taught. He was going to detail.
Things.
No, he was going back and forth. He said, it just doesn't add up. That's what I remember. So there.
Well, with science, man, you just have to have a controlled experiment and repeat the process. See if it happens again.
You're not driving a plane anywhere.
Yeah.
My little anarchist is like, ooh, trying to convince Mastermind to get a tank and shit. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you, Cookies? We don't have any place to park it.
No, ma'am. I did not try to convince him. All I said is it's easily available as an American. It's your right to have a tank.
And you know what? I encourage
Our son
everyone.
was like, yeah.
We can all have tanks, or to quote that line from The Simpsons, where when Homer was serving the Navy, and Bart was like, Milhouse's dad is going to get him weapons, get him some big weapons, and Homer's like, I'm going to get you the most devastating weapon of all time, and Marge is looking like, And he says, only if you're good, even if you're not.
Yeah, Mastermind's not that good. Oh, yes, you are, baby. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that.
When I'm good, I'm bad. But when I'm bad, I'm great.
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I don't know. We could talk about Naraya.
Are you moving off 9/11?
Well, we're as long as Kit's cool, because you could take off after close, but we could chit chat for a couple more and talk about Naraya testimony. And
the only thing I wanted to talk about
freedom.
was Flight 93, which is his. The one that landed
we're in the dirt
in Pennsylvania, right? And Skank,
I think so. Don't ask me. I
can't remember the name of the city, but it's not a city. Obviously, it was in a field. But it always struck me. I started thinking that this was a little weird because I can remember being, watching the footage of this being revealed, and then not seeing it again for like 10 years, a decade. And I mean, looking at it, but I remember they had footage of the crash site from above where it was just kind of a round hole in the ground, a divot, but there's no plane parts anywhere. And I thought, wow, you would think that to do that, it would have to nosedive in, right, to make the divot. Otherwise, it'd be one of those long slides. But then where'd the plane go? And then I started seeing the Pentagon, and I'm like, where'd that plane go?
All I said was that was a good point.
Oh,
what's interesting is that when you look at how everything did play out was the devastation, and that there were warnings given, and that there's so much though like left wondering, like, okay, wait a minute, if this was a heads up, why didn't people act? Why didn't our intelligence services act accordingly? And I can't help but remember.
Exactly. Did they just let it happen?
Wait. Bad Cookies. You know what? I have to give a correction. Now, I did mention King Kong, but you know what? I forgot something. We were actually, it wasn't even The Simpsons. It wasn't King Kong. It wasn't any of these movies or TV shows that told us about 9/11 happening. There was a spin-off show called The X-Files.
Oh.
And their first episode was about a plane crashing into the World Trade Center.
Shut up. Why don't I remember that? I just rewatched it last year.
Hold on.
Shit,
the
Kit.
three guys.
I gotta pick your brain.
Yeah, I love that.
Well,
You
Kit's
should
there
have.
right now. He's bringing his receipt. Hold on a second.
Wait.
It is.
Episode 1. Wait.
I wish I remembered that. See, I gotta
Episode
pull
1.
media
Did
in
you
again,
ever
you
watch it?
guys. I forgot to pull media in.
Did you ever watch that?
Yes, I watched the X Files.
No.
Oh.
The spinoff, The Lone Gunman. The three
No.
guys.
Yeah, the
Oh, I love
pilot.
those-
Oh,
Right.
I never watched
So,
that. Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Well, they
Wait a
spoke
minute.
too much truth. That's
We
why
just
they only
had
got
X Files night.
They
You guys
get
drink
another
beers and
season.
flirt with each other. You know.
This was the spin-off episode, and it
I
is
see.
episode 1 called The Pilot, and it's called Pilot, no pun intended. While the lone gunmen are thwarted in their attempt to steal a computer chip by somebody again, Byers receives news of his father's death, and the trio soon find themselves unraveling a government conspiracy concerning an attempt to fly a commercial aircraft into the World Trade Chrysler Building, with sales for the United States as an intended result.
You know what Cookie says when I would tell him parallels when we're brainstorming about the show and stuff, and he's like, better half, they always give you media to prepare you for what's, because I know sci-fi tech is in media, and then it comes up 20 years later or whatever, like with DARPA and all that. But you saying that with the show, it's like they're just kind of numbing us to the fact. And I thought you were reading from Operation Northwoods.
Right. Well,
Aren't you just
and
reading from?
that's why that
Except
show
for the
never
word
got
drone.
another season, was because they started talking too much.
Sorry.
They got a little too close to the truth.
Well, that story's just been rewritten over and over. It's as old as Socrates, man.
Mm-hmm.
So crates.
So great.
Sorry. Go ahead, Kat.
Well, I can't help but remember that episode from the low. And you know what? I remember that episode because I was a kid. I think it came out. Hold on, let me just double check what year it came out, because I remember back in the
While
day.
you're looking that up, I'm going to have Mastermind. Oh, go ahead.
March 4th, originally aired March 4th, 2001.
Shut up.
So they beat it by 6 months?
The pilot, which is a spinoff of the X-Files, had March 4th, 2001.
Well, beat them by
Great.
6 months.
March
Yeah.
4th, 2001.
Maybe that guy was getting the chatter, because
Well,
on one show with
And you gotta
DARPA, we had
figure it
the
probably
AM
took 'em,
frequency.
I don't know how long. If it was a pilot, I bet they spent a couple months on it anyway.
No, the creative director was, the AM frequency patent that we were talking about that the CIA made to put things into our brain.
No, I'm just
They
saying.
had the chatter.
Oh, right.
And
the
he came
AM,
up with the show
right?
because he heard the chatter about
They just fed
9/11.
it into
We're going to
it.
go down a rabbit hole. I'm
They
pulling it
fed
out.
Well, and they had to start, but
Sorry.
that's when it was released in March. So,
Putting
they
it all
probably
together,
had
guys.
to write that. That's probably close to the beginning of the year. So, is that it for? I
don't know. Cookie didn't really ask his question. Are there any favorite conspiracy theories that he has? But
Yes.
we didn't really
do.
talk about Iraqi freedom, and you were going to talk about a little bit about your false flag experience, Kit, or if you had a little view of that.
Well,
little,
I mean,
maybe.
okay. So, I mean, obviously so
Are you guys okay?
look, I served from 04 to 08 in the Marine Corps, and my unit was actually Force Med Anti-Terrorism Battalion, and our heraldry was actually the two towers, the Pentagon, and the fields in Pennsylvania. That was our symbol of our old unit. We later became 2-9. So, So I remember when we got formed up, and my first tour was in the Green Zone, and we were living in Saddam Hussein's palace. And the closest thing I ever saw.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Wow.
I was living. I was living in.
You're rubbing elbows, man.
I was living in Saddam Hussein's basement, so I was just a PFC, so I didn't know nothing of
Did you
nothing.
get to swim in a swimming pool?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I kid you not.
I hung out in Liberace's museum, but I don't know if that's anything to brag about.
Yeah, so
Did you have a saltwater pool too, so you could float in that?
No. It was just a regular pool, but So I was living in a basement before it was cool, millennials. So there you go. I was
in the closet.
Living in daddy's basement.
Yeah.
Daddy
Before
Saddam.
it was cool.
Yeah, before it was cool. So take that, Fox News. So yeah, I was living in Saddam Hussein's basement. Me and 200 other guys. So there you go. But yeah, that was where I was living at, and closest thing I ever saw weapons of mass destruction were these Scud missiles. I actually have a photo of it. The Scud missiles flying off into heaven, and there it is. Those were the weapons.
It was painted.
Yeah, like the Sistine Chapel.
But
only Scud missiles.
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like Liberace's museum. I was going to say, if you saw a missile painted, that is also a Northwood tactic. To paint missiles. I missed your joke again.
No, I snorted. I was
you just snorted at yourself. Okay.
I gotta stop.
Anyway, I always miss his jokes, but yeah, it sounds like Northwood painting.
I was laughing at your Liberace joke.
So I know one person is asking about his other locations. The only other place that I remember,
thank you for paying attention,
because I'm getting old, because I'm starting to forget things. But the only other place that I remember where I think because we went there at a shooting range, and one of them was where I guess Saddam had like this little private lake or river or something where he would, or sons would actually have their boats, but there was like a lake or some kind of pond or whatever, and that was a shooting range that we went to. And then I remember the building was already blown up, but I think it was the Republican Guard headquarters or something like that. Let's see what else I can remember. Oh, I saw the statues of Saddam Hussein, like of him wearing like armored helmets and everything else before we destroyed it. And I saw the remnants of the parade ground where Iraq memorialized the Iran-Iraq war.
So,
yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm just going to get to the nitty gritty. You know, they were saying Bush Jr., and we'll watch a video on that the only weapons of mass destruction maybe Saddam had was like a suitcase worth of anthrax. Was that the chatter? Oh, sorry.
4 suitcases.
Around, like, are we allowed to ask, like, you know, amongst the other soldiers? I don't mean to be disrespectful.
I would listen. I was nowhere near a high tier anybody. I was low tier. I was bottom of the
So
total.
you wouldn't even know what you just did it. I
make this joke on my show, but I was following order. I was a PFC, the lowest of the ranks. Okay, so
if you're playing Risk, he was just like one of those guys that they used to hold Saddam's, but there had 200 of them. We're just gonna hold this right here. You guys stay here and chill.
Yeah, like no. I played an absolutely very, 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 very small part in anything, and I don't know.
You're not taking credit or blame.
Wow. I didn't know anything. I was a kid from the south side of Chicago, and you know, being in Saddam Hussein's palace was not on my bingo card, but I could just say that before I died. So there you go. But
you could check it off your bucket list before you had a bucket list.
Yeah, I could check it off there. So what else? What else can I say? I don't know. I mean, like weapons of mass destruction. I mean,
do you remember leaving? What was that like? Like it ending and finally getting out. And I know you were honorably discharged. You don't have to necessarily talk about that, but what was the general like what
do you mean? Like when we left the war zone, or when I left?
Yeah, because didn't it create a void, and they were all boasting, all the politicians were like, we're gonna make a democratic area, and did you see the civilians
build
there?
$70 million gas stations?
Well, okay. Sure. So again, my deployments weren't like a year. I was my first tour was like 6.5 months, and I think my second tour was 7 months or something like that. Again, you know, Army, you know, they're like a year or 14 months or something like that. So because I was in the Marine Corps, so we were there like for 6 months or 7. Wow. The first tour was 6.5 months, and the second one was 7 months, at least if my memory's playing right with me. But so I served from 04 to 08. We didn't leave Iraq until 2012, I believe. But even then, we still had a presence. So
it's still happening. Yeah, 2011. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess like our first time leaving, we were leaving the green zone. But I mean, the green zone was like SeaWorld. I mean, everybody and their mama was like there in that area. I mean, you had private security, you had Army, you had Marine Corps, you had ambassadors and generals there. I mean, like us leaving, it was like, okay, bye. And then same thing like with we actually got in helos to leave. My second tour, we were in a place called Ashraf. And funny thing about Ashraf is that it was like maybe 50 or 100 miles, I'm probably wrong on this, away from the Iranian border. And Ashraf was a town with Iranian refugees from the Iranian Revolution because, you know, the Ayatollah took over. So these were people who were against the Ayatollah. And when Operation Iraqi Freedom, at least was how my brain is remembering this, they surrendered right away to Allied forces, but they weren't too popular with the insurgency at the time. So we were there doing site security for the people in Ashraf. And then when we had to leave, this was the dumbest thing ever. This was the dumbest thing ever. This was so stupid. They packed all of us up in all these 7-ton trucks. And honest to God, if there was a roadside bomb that blew up there, like it would be like a whole bunch of dead.
All
like,
of you just.
Yeah. No, they started
Like a bunch of college students on a plane.
Right.
Yeah.
Put other eggs in
sorry.
one basket.
So they put us all in the a couple of us in the 7-ton truck, and it's like
Been
it's
hanging
right
out
there
with
out in
Cookie
the
too
open.
much.
It was like right there out in the open. It was like, you know, because we were all joking, like, hey, if this thing blows up, there's gonna be one
Good.
big red
You
spot,
have
right?
to.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're all joking
Why
about
am I
it.
laughing?
And well,
At least it wasn't a school bus with
It's
a
better
target
than
on the
crying.
roof. With a big
Yeah.
target.
Yeah, so like, but the thing is, like, I had my lucky charm on me. There was like a sheep vertebrae that I found while patrolling in the desert. So it
I
kept me
have one
safe.
too. I have a
And
dolphin
so-
one.
And so we're
Seems like you didn't Bobby Brady that.
we're going from Ashraf all the way to Camp Anaconda, because then from the road trip to Anaconda, then we would get a helo to go to Baghdad International Airport, and then take the plane from Baghdad to, I think, Kuwait, and then from Kuwait to Germany, and from Germany to Dublin, and from Dublin all the way to North Carolina. So yeah, but
So
you know
did
what?
you? Go ahead.
No,
No.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, go.
No,
All
I'm
right,
just trying to get the ethics. Cookie, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going
Yeah.
to say something.
Please.
Kit,
Yes.
I'm going to ask you a personal question here. Hopefully you don't get offended. I'm about to trigger you.
All right, let's go.
Oh no, not the one about.
It's actually
I'm
no.
hiding.
Stop.
Okay.
The first question, it's a two-parter. The first question is, why did you enlist in the first place?
Okay,
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's
Okay,
I was gonna.
So originally, when I graduated from high school, I did have a college scholarship, but there was a problem, and it got denied to me because there was a mess up with paperwork. So I really didn't know what to do, and this was a gut check, because originally I wanted to study paleontology. I was on three dinosaur expeditions when I was in high school, and that was my passion. I wanted to study dinosaurs, and
So you wanted to be a woman. You wanted to dig up old shit.
Oh,
how dare you! How dare you!
Cookie,
Shut
we
up.
lost you, Cookie.
That's why he's
Where'd
fascinated
it
with
go? It
Pelosi,
got hung
right?
up.
Yes.
No, I'm just
Okay, so when that happened, I was really wondering, like, okay, what should I do? And you know, I did get accepted to college, but when I looked at the prices of a college, and this was like 2003, so college wasn't expensive as it was now, but it was still pretty pricey. And I'm looking at this like, I can't fucking pay for this crap. And my grandma, God rest her soul, she was like, Kit, I will buy your books. I will pay for everything. And I'm looking at my grandma like, no. Listen, I'm a lot of things. I could be a real dick. I could be a real asshole. I could be a real jerk. Okay. But I'll be damned if my grandmother is going to be paying for anything. So
right.
my mom sat me down, was like, Kit, you need to figure out, either get a job or figure out something. So I was at the local library and I was looking at books, because I like to read military history and stories. And I was looking at dinosaur books. And then all of a sudden I had this book about the military. And I was like, you know, I'll just listen to military.
So you weren't solicited?
What could go wrong? No, I did it on my own volition. What could go wrong?
I did too. I thought.
Oh yeah,
I
because
I disagree. I think you, along with a lot of other Americans, are conditioned since childhood to believe that that's an
Football.
option for you,
Yeah.
simply because they make it that way.
And the thing is, look, I did use the GI Bill when I got out, and Illinois also has the Illinois Veterans Benefit, and I'm proud to say, in my time in service, everybody came home alive and well. And now I know people who did die. I do know people who went to boot camp and then SOI, because people don't know what SOI is. So there's boot camp, and yes, they do yell at you. Yes, they do scream in your face. But then there's SOI, which is sort of like a Diet Pepsi version of boot camp, but there's more guns. It's like college, but with more guns and more booze, whatever. So that's the School of Infantry. So I still have my diploma from the School of Infantry. SOI. That's where you go, and then you go into your regular unit. So I did it because, look, I wanted to do something. I wanted to do an adventure. I was also very upset that I lost my scholarship. And I figured, okay, well, let's try this out. My father, he served in Nam. He was a Marine.
A family history of it. Yeah.
He only talked about it once. My grandpa's cousin served in every single campaign in the Pacific War as a Marine. My grandpa's brother served in the U.S. Army Air Force, and then my great grandfather served in World War I. And I actually recently found.
Are you going to hold a watch up next? Because I'm kind of
no, there ain't no watch.
Ain't no watch. Uncomfortable piece of metal.
Cookie had another question though. Didn't you?
Well, and what I was.
Please, I'm sorry, Mastermind.
No, all I wanted to say was I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination to think that the crazy increase in the price of tuition and in education isn't fully blessed by the military industrial, or by the military, not the industrial.
And I know I've talked about this before, but Kit, just so you know, I don't know what your status is with children or whatever, but like I signed a paper that the military can't come to my son. I mean, I was solicited by ROTC in Southern Nevada like every other day in the 80s and 90s. And just, get college funding and all this stuff. I grew up in poverty. I get it, and I was like the first out of 7 to get a college degree, 2 of them. And I busted my ass and I'm in debt, but I did it and that's where I'm at. And I don't want my son to go there. I will not. And I will. It's like Cookie said, it called it a restraining order against the government that they can't. That was one of our solutions. If we're talking about solutions, like what can we do?
I had people ask me like, how would you tell someone to enlist? Would you serve? And the thing is, I'm just going to tell everybody, like, I got very lucky that I saw everybody that I served was come home in one piece. Like my experience, what happened to me, what will not happen to anybody else. Everybody came home. And look, I never saw the horror of war, and the reality was real. And there were some guys who did get hurt, but again, people came home one piece, and that doesn't happen a lot. So I would say, like, my time in the military, people joke like, "Hey, Kit, you won the lottery or you won billions of dollars." No, I did win the lottery.
That was another conspiracy theory.
I did win the lottery, and that is, I never saw the horror of war. How much did he win? No, you know what I won? I won my soul, because everybody came home. Everybody came home, and that's something that I could say to anybody that wants to enlist. What happened to me won't happen to you.
Well, that actually leads into my second question, man, because you just described what I heard of a lot when I was working in the VA. Is a lot of the veterans there that were injured and were sick, the first thing I would ask them is, "Hey, what made you enlist?" And a lot of them, they all said the same thing. It's, I enlisted because I wanted to go to college, or I couldn't afford it. And
that's why they won't do free college. Sorry,
I know.
I just had an epiphany. Damn it!
That's exactly why they set this up this way, because they don't want you to be able to afford college for free like your grandparents used to. Because you used to be able to like pay for it for like a few grand working at McDonald's back when you can afford to make a living.
Right, $700 a semester.
And people are asking, like, did I see heavy combat? No, I did not see heavy combat, and yes, my job was infantry. But no, I did not see heavy combat.
You got a cush job in Saddam Hussein's basement with 200 other dudes
kicking a poolside.
I'm joking. Is it okay to joke about shit like that? I have no idea.
Well, the thing is, like, again, I have my own opinions, and that's maybe for a story for another day, because I gotta, I have my thoughts about everything that has happened. But when we look at, or at least when I look back at it, like my time in, yes, I did enlist for the adventure, I guess, for patriotism, for college, for a lot of things, and yes, family too. I mean, but I would say to everybody that, I'm lucky that everybody came home. Mm-hmm. And, normally when you think somebody's serving, that they saw firefights and heavy action.
Right.
No, I don't know how else to describe it. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was the God's blessing. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, kid, is they're never going to change. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's because, again, people are usually shocked when I say, like, no, I never saw heavy combat. Yet my job was infantry, but no, I never happened. And I think in many ways my lottery is that all my brothers during my 4 years, everybody came home. Mm-hmm. Everybody is safe, and that will never happen to anybody else ever. So lucky me, but unfortunately for so many others, because I'm pretty sure they want their friends and brothers back. And look, it was the war in Iraq, the fact that there was a lie, there were no WMDs, and it's an unfortunate tragedy, but yet we haven't learned the lesson. And here I am now, almost going on to 40. And nothing has fundamentally changed. Ain't that special?
Right. Kid, looking back on that, you'll never regret the experiences that you had while you were serving. You're never going to forget the people that you serve with. They're like your brothers now. They're part of you. But do you regret your service now, knowing what you know about the government and what it is doing to the people in order to get those bodies into the military?
Okay, so let me be clear on this, okay? I knew, signed a contract, what I was putting myself into as a kid, because, my mom told me my dad's story in Vietnam, okay? And it was very real. And my grandpa told me the story of his relatives when they served in the Second World War. And my uncle did see the aftermath of Hiroshima. Again, he was a photographer for the U.S. Army Air Force when the Air Force was part of the Army, or a branch of the Army. I would say if I did not serve, I would not be the man I am now. And I would not be aware of the situation, because when I got out of the Marine Corps, I went to college right away, and I wanted to know things. And I don't know if I would be the same man speaking to you guys. I don't think I'd be here talking to you if I did not make these decisions. But it does make me self-aware of just how corrupt things are. So yeah, I went face first into the fire in many ways. But if I did not do the things that I did, I would not be Kit Adrian Cabello here co-hosting Hardlands Media and being on your show as well.
That's a really healthy, grateful way to put it.
I do. Now again, folks, my warning is, if you want to serve, especially to a young person, you will not be me. You will not be lucky as me. And you will not be as fortunate as me, because what happened to me won't happen to you. And I would say, and I would also add on to this too, is that you have to be well aware that should you serve, remember, these politicians are spending our lives recklessly. They don't care about the people or those that even put on the uniform. Yeah. So
that's what a false flag is, Kit, is that they
aware of your environment
for that social and political gain. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm just, kind of. And I thought about joining with the ROTC, in high school and college, getting paid for and all that. And I was more of like an ethical, like fighting for a word, like Johnny got his gun, before I really knew how screwed up things could be, before women could even fight in the front line, I think was what I was thinking about it. Because I do want to have a service. I am very service oriented. So I got more like patriarch. I'm a bootlicker. I am. I lobbied. I protested. Well, I know how to yell at the right time, so don't get me wrong.
There's only one thing that I am loyal to, and I will not break it. My undying faith to our overlord, the God Emperor of mankind.
Yourself? I'm just joking. How you guys feeling? We're almost hitting the 2-hour mark.
You bypassed the slide with the.
If you want to talk about her, that was the only real.
There's another one. Yeah, it's just another.
It's just another point. It just quickly synopsis.
Trip down memory lane. We were going sequentially. As you recall, she's the one that was talking about the babies being thrown out of the incubators onto the floor, blaming.
Big picture. She's a witness to American soldiers going in to a hospital and taking babies and flinging them out of the incubators, right? Is that what you told me?
Well, yeah, but
bigger picture. She's the child of someone very important who put her there.
Yeah. It's actually the daughter of the Kuwaiti ambassador. I'm never going to try and say his name. I even wrote it down, but there's a lot of slobs.
I could look it up. We could kabash that one.
So George Bush got a lot of mileage out of that and started quoting about all these babies thrown on the floor.
Eating dead babies, dogs? Babies.
I just wanted to show you the face of young, pretty evil. So now you can go on to the next slide.
They did find out that who she was, and that there were different, when I was researching it, different reasons why maybe they were taking, because the machines were getting shut off or something. There was an alternative theory of why the babies were removed from the incubators. But for her to say she was a witness and that they were being flung about and stuff, it was very, very manipulative. I would definitely say that's a false flag. Yes, in my book.
That passes your...
Yes, that passes my sniff test.
Okay, so we got that one out of the way. Thank goodness.
Yeah, we could go back to the cute bunny now.
There we go.
Way cuter.
So...
I guess Robbie's asking about my middle name. Yes, my middle name is Adrian. That was my mom's.
Adrian.
Adrian. Yes, Adrian is my middle name. Cabello is descendant of Cabellos or Caballos, which is Sicilian in origin. So there you go.
I'm not going to tell you my last name on screen right now because the nature of our show, but I might share the meaning of mine.
It's just
after.
Parada? I don't think it's too...
You just doxed me.
Oh,
wow.
You brought it up. Why would you bring it up?
Now everybody knows my name.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, I'm a Sicilian from Vegas, and I'm in the solid waste industry business. You don't want to know my last name.
Forget about it.
My family is historical. I want to do a whole show on the mafia. We're ready.
Well, you're protected.
I'm ready to come out of the closet.
You could get away with it. I
want to
can't.
fuck with me? No, I'm just.
I can't get away with it.
I'm getting
your brother Billy. Whatever happened there? Whatever happened there?
Why did you tell him?
Sorry.
Yeah,
you did it to me.
Jesus Christ, Carmine! Why would you ever bring that up?
Hey, kid,
she will not watch Sopranos.
I won't watch Sopranos. I've never seen it.
She saw like one episode.
Yeah, a little. Okay.
She thought it was
violent. I've seen enough of it.
And hello, Tina Mayberry. And yes, I am single. Single. There you go.
Hey, yo, kid, do that. Shut up real quick.
Oh, the shut up?
Shut up!
Oh, yeah, that was the other conspiracy theory we had about Kit Cabello.
At the closings.
I mean, because...
Wait, we got a whole list of conspiracy theories about Kit. Hold on, there you go.
All right, let's go. What are the conspiracy theories?
Oh, wrap up. There we are. Close. Okay. If you left early, we were going to talk smack behind your back. And this is...
Oh, yeah?
This is what
liberal media. Bring it on.
I'm liberal. They may not be. I don't know. Okay, go ahead.
Did you have mine in there? Nope.
No, they're right here. Question. We all want to know. Oh, we already asked. How much did you win?
No.
But conspiracy theories on Kit. He won the lottery. Legion of Clones. We already addressed that one.
There it is.
And he broke.
Clones. The original one died in 2013.
Oh. What?
So
the original Kit Cabello died in 2013.
So everybody knows that Kit could fix Caitlin Collins, but the conspiracy theory is he's the one that broke her in the first place, so he feels responsible to fix her.
Who's Caitlin Collins? Oh, Go Cookie? What?
Dude, I want to throw one more on the list there, real quick. When you mentioned Daniel and snowstorms, that triggered my memory, and I want to put you on record, Kid. Okay. What happened to Daniel after that snowstorm where you guys lost touch?
Okay, so there's I don't know if we could play it. I can actually try and find the video, but have you ever seen this video of me and Daniel? Like it was
When
at
you
our
lock
old
him
studio.
out?
This is the
Okay.
When
guy.
you lock him
This
outside?
is the guy you started Hardlands
Yes.
Media with. Okay.
Yes, hold
Is
on,
he in the
Hardlands
background?
Media.
Like, why don't we ever see him?
Well,
And
we used to.
Oh,
okay. So let me just explain. Daniel was always was always going to eventually detach himself from 99 from Hardlands Media because we wanted to do more with the studio and work more on different projects. So he was the co-host, and yes, he wants to go back to co-hosting again. Right now, we're dealing with a lot of stuff behind the scenes to really build up our studio and working on a lot of different projects. So he's right now in charge of our studio called 99 Perspectives. 99 Perspectives.
I was reading
Studio.
about that. Yeah,
Yes.
it was connected. Yeah, that's awesome. Sounds like an awesome project.
So the studio, what we do is do a lot of like field project works. And so hold on, I found the video. Thank goodness. FaZe made this way back in the day. So if you want to know when things probably went crazy, I'm gonna put this in the private chat. But this is called The Vanishing at 99. So there it is. I'm gonna share it with your people. You'll find out what happened. It's absolutely crazy.
You pulling it up or am I?
We're opening
I'm working
it.
on
Yeah.
it.
All right.
Hang on.
I'm working on it.
Hey, Cookie, while he's doing that, Mastermind's doing that, can you do the close, like just thanking people and talk about our next show real quick?
Oh,
And
sure.
we'll
Bring it
play
up.
that video.
Right
Oh.
on. All right. So, real quickly, I'll thank some people. Let me know when you got the video ready.
Hey, Chicago.
Oh, you got it ready?
Okay, so Daniel is gonna go outside and do the first time ever weather
How long
news
is it?
report showing you guys what we
only
have
1
to
minute,
deal with.
99 seconds.
Daniel Leffer is now leaving the 99 Perspective studio. He is going to be exposing himself to harsh elements. Don't fall down the stairs, Dan. Uh-oh. We lost the signal.
There we go. It's
That's
snowing.
awesome.
There is snow.
There's a footprint. Is that a body? Hey, Ray, Dan, quickly, it's behind you.
Hang on, Dan.
Dan, what do you see? I don't know. FaZe, you think that's Daniel? Just because when your phone went out, buddy, it's pretty sus. Whatever it is, it's
Aw,
got
there's
a hold of
Daniel.
Daniel. No. Daniel, are you human?
Sometimes.
That was cute. Look at the DNA. Ew.
Very nice. All right.
So
well,
yes, that's what happened. We don't know if Daniel's human or not.
well, if we're doing show and tell, could I do my Alexa one?
If you want. Well, you showed it. Didn't you show it last time on the media? Remember we did it with media?
Oh, maybe I did.
Show it
Yeah.
again. It's your show.
Shit,
Get
do whatever you
on.
want.
Let go. I'm taking over. All right, we're doing show and tell.
I guess I'm not the true concierge.
Yeah, back.
Whatever.
Alexa, why should I vote for Donald Trump?
I cannot provide content that promotes a specific political party or a specific candidate.
Alexa, why should I vote for Kamala Harris?
I cannot provide content that promotes a specific political party or a specific candidate.
Alexa, why should I vote for Kit Cabello?
Kit is the God Emperor, and he shall protect.
Here's the thing, Kit. How do you get to be emperor?
Period.
And when I ask a question, I'm like, and Mastermind will go, "Who's right, me or better half?" And it'll say, "Mastermind knows it all." And I didn't realize he could do the pre-settings, and I'm like, "How'd you do that?"
Well, 8 other people figured it out.
Right.
8 Republicans, 8 Trumpers figured it out.
I do like that you mentioned that because sometimes I get frustrated with some of the YouTube shows talking about media, with mainstream media. That's what I got sick about, was sensationalism and all this stuff. And, it was a fake story, that the Republicans were pushing to make Alexa sound biased towards the Democrats. And you did mention that. You said this is a farce, but it's fun, And I appreciate that in you, Kit, to kind of, be independent and say how it is. And I'm like, why are they always bashing the Democrats and stuff? Well, they're the ones in power
Because they suck.
right now.
Well, because everybody knows the Republicans suck. The Democrats were supposed to be the good guys at one point.
So
They were, but whatever. I mean, there's no such thing as good guys in DC. That doesn't exist.
Oh, I was there for a while. I'm a good guy. Are you kidding me? I would have. I would have said and did whatever I wanted to get what I wanted from an environmental perspective. Yeah, I was playing the game right with them. You have to join them to beat them.
No, you don't.
Why not?
Because then
nobody would vote for me. I am a sellout.
Because it doesn't. You don't make change. They eventually change you. It's a slow progression. Yeah.
No, you make change. It just changes when you leave.
I think the best proof of that is the progressive movement in the Democrats. You can't change the system from the inside.
Right. You're right. Damn it, Cookie, you're always right. Just like you taught me. Well, most of the time, politically, because I don't pay as much attention as you do.
I learned it from watching Kit.
Well, but if you think of it like that way about Japan after World War II, they were flat, and so they could start from a clean slate, and so they got clean, good factories, clean, good transportation, and that's why anything that was good that was electronic in the 80s came out of Japan. They had the
Mitsubishi. Yeah, they're the leaders in a lot.
As someone who saw Japan, especially with their transportation system, and they were updating it. I mean, it was light years ahead of everything here in Chicago. I mean, I had more of a comfortable train ride going from Tokyo to Hiroshima and Kyoto than I had a plane ride going from Japan to Chicago and Chicago all the way back to Japan and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that was, those trains are something else altogether. Wonderful works of art and technology and efficiency. So, as someone who's seen it, like you'll get spoiled quickly, because I remember when I came back from Japan and I go on the CTA and that train was so rickety. I'm like, man, I was used to VIP service, and this is what I'm getting. Forget this, man.
And that's your tax dollars at work, kid.
Right.
Yes. Yes. And here's the thing, like the bathroom on the bullet trains, it's like when you push the green button, like there's this big green button to push, like the door opens like something from Star Trek, like and I'm like, I've arrived. Thank you.
I am in the future.
Exactly.
But we can't get that, dude. We can't get that here in Chicago. Why, man? We're so damn corrupt, man.
Exactly.
You both are Chicago's.
Yeah.
I worked on a dairy farm for a while. That was fun. But I love the L. The L was awesome.
Dairy farm in Chicago?
Bad cookies.
In Waukegan.
I got a question for you, buddy.
What's up?
There you go.
Socks or Cubs?
Oh. Brewers.
All right.
At least ain't the Cubs. I'm a South Side thriller. I'm a North Side killer. South Side thriller, North Side killer.
So, what is the name? Chai or what? What did they used to call it?
Chi-Town?
Chi-Town. That's it.
Yeah, Chi-Town or Chirac, Chicago, Chicago.
Chirac. Like, wow. Okay.
Yeah, no,
That's
yeah,
appropriate.
that's wrong. Yeah, Chirac. Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to get a hot dog, kid?
What's up?
Where's your favorite place to get a dog in Chicago?
Oh, fuck!
I'm writing this down.
I think it's called the Blue Devil a long time ago. Fuck. No. It's a name. It's a place, and my brain isn't working.
You can send it to us on our. Oh, we didn't do a little Discord chat for the Tin Rabbit with him.
There is Mr. Beef, and sometimes Portello's, they make some good hot dogs there, but Portello's more like a franchise brand.
Yeah.
But Mr.
Talking
Beef,
about food, you ever eat polenta kunsa, or like what's your favorite Sicilian dish?
Sicilian, jeez.
Just a little Sicilian talk.
Yeah, I did. Demon dogs. That's right.
Oh, he found it.
That's
Demon
right.
dogs.
Demon dogs.
Somebody.
Yeah, that is
Nick to save the day.
Oh, how did I
That's
get
it.
that many?
That's it. Yes, but as for my Sicilian roots, unfortunately, I'm not too deep and connected with my Sicilian side because my father was the only surviving member of his. Well, besides on his side, what happened is like my grandfather on my father's side, most of his family was when the Third Reich decided to visit Sicily, and they were going after people they deemed to be informants for the Allies.
Right.
And so my father was the last one besides, again, so I'm like the last living member.
Yeah, my dad died when I was young too. We didn't get a lot of cultural influence and, but yeah, we had quite a bit of food. I did up till I was about 15.
Yeah, so,
well, thanks for answering that. Just curious. I don't mean it a lot of other Sicilians. I'm looking forward to...
Just as long as we don't start talking about calamari and squid and octopus and stuff.
Hey,
what stop.
No. Yes, squid. I actually
melt in your mouth.
When I was
marinate
in Japan,
it in lemon juice.
When I was in Japan,
and you eat it raw.
When I was
melts.
in Japan, I really loved eating squid and octopus. That was delicious.
It is. I mean, Sicilians are sea people. So is Japanese. You got a lot of fish in your family, I'm sure.
Yes, no, the Japanese have this one weird dish, man. I don't know if you had it, but they chop up fresh, like either it's squid or octopus fresh, and then they pour a little soy sauce on it, and then they serve it to you, and it's like still squiggling, and when you chew it, it twitches.
I haven't had that, but okonomiyaki is really delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You guys never had okonomiyaki? No.
Yeah, that's an egg dish, right?
It's an egg dish. It's like a pancake.
Yep.
And it's so good.
That's
there's two different variations. The one in Osaka and the other one in Hiroshima. There's two different variations.
Nice.
Everybody's getting hungry in the chat.
I know my stomach just started rumbling.
I gotta go do my second job. Taking care of Mamma Mia. As a good Sicilian girl should. On that note, but we've got a couple of videos that relate. Cookie, if you want to talk about next week's show, you can, or we could just jump into Ted Kennedy laying down the law with weapons of mass destruction. Go ahead.
All right, close.
Okay.
But before that, Kit, where can people find you if they want to see you?
Okay, well, Hardlands Media is live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Central on YouTube, Rumble, Rockfin, Odyssey, and Kick. And so 9 a.m. Central is when we go live. We are on Twitter. We do have an Instagram page and a Facebook page. Yes, I do try and post there as much as I can. We also are on Discord. And if you want to support us, we have PayPal, and we do have a Patreon page. And yes, we have a popular TV show on Can TV Channel 21. So yes, we're also on television too. So 7 seasons now. 7 seasons.
With the rabbit ears.
Well,
I'll bust out my
Cookies asked that question like the Venn diagram of HLM watchers and Tin Rabbit podcast doesn't look like a Cheerio.
Hey, we're bringing in some different people. I haven't tried to bring my peeps in. I don't know if they'll appreciate some of them.
Yeah, they'll wait till they get a load of me.
Yeah, they'll make fun of me. They will. They'll be like, "You're married to that?" I'll be like, "Yeah, I am." He's smart and funny.
Oh, that's why I call her better half.
A little crazy, but that's all right.
That's right.
And he grows the best weed.
And don't worry, Tina Mayberry, I'm gonna get you that Reading wing and a whole land.
Yeah, she settled with better half. I wanted to call her better 3/4 half.
I wanted to be called the other half hour, but whatever.
Better 3/4.
What happened to that Asian girl you were dating, Kit?
It's over.
Oh, yeah.
I was hoping you weren't single anymore because your mouth would clean up. Sorry. Sometimes I hear some of the things you say. I'm like, what is wrong with him? It's like a boy in a locker room.
But in all reality, I am single. I am single right now. So there you go. I'm focused right now on my business, and I'm focused right now in also helping take care of my mom too. And a few
good.
Focus on your
That's
square
what
kid.
we're going to talk about in our show next week. Part of it is like Medicare and some of my personal experience with the Medicare system and why it's so expensive. And, we're going to talk about medical fuckery is what I wanted to call it, but I don't think YouTube will let me.
Dr. Dirty Hands.
Or Dr. Dirty Hands, like just malpractice. And Cookies is going to talk about the insurance industry. And I'm going to focus on rural America and like more of the ethics behind it. Like, kind of like it's being run like a Disney executive show. It's just a cluster. Anyway.
And I'm just gonna rant on what I think they should do to the Sackler family in different ways.
Kit was dating the Asian Tina Mayberry. What was that?
Tina Mayberry.
Oh, okay.
All right,
yours, baby.
So we got the close. I'm going to
subscribe, like, and share.
Oh, yeah, do the thumb thing.
Thanks
I keep
for
forgetting.
Coming. We thanks Kit.
Oh,
I did it.
Did you want to shout
And I talked
do
about
we
the
have time
show already.
Okay, we don't have time to shout everybody out.
No,
Thank
I
you.
think we should
I
get
can't
going.
shout you out
Sorry,
all
everybody.
individually. And my mom didn't show up, so
Oh, maybe she's there. She's just not talking.
no, I saw her there. I just like feeling sorry for myself.
All right, we're
So-
going to watch a video about that relates to weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
And then your
As soon as
awesome
you let me have
music.
the mouse,
You're done. I'm done. Bye,
it's so
Kit.
hard for
Bye,
her to let
Quickies.
go of
Bye, Fluffles.
Thank you again, King, for showing up and being real. And I'll see you tomorrow in the chat on HLM. But for now, let me.
And we'll keep things running for a bit, Jacqueline, so that.
Right. I'm going to run this. And then after that,
I really had fun.
I hope you guys stick around. I'm going to play a song by, well, that's why he's Croatian, Dennis Pana, but I think it's Pauna. But like I said, I'm slaughtering it. So I'm sorry, Dennis.
Yeah,
right.
and I actually have to prep for tomorrow's show, so I will bow my way out of this show. But thank you so much for the privilege, Mastermind. I also want to thank you and your team, Bad Cookies, yourself included, for standing in support and solidarity for us, especially way early on in January. It was a tough month for me and Daniel, and were it not for all the viewers in here, we would not be here. So thank you. I'm so glad. I wish you guys all the best and success in growing your channel. And this is Hard Lens Media signing out because I do have to prep the show for tomorrow too. So much love to you guys.
All right,
beautiful
just crank up your
beautiful people.
Crank up your speakers, Kit. You're gonna like this guy.
All right.
Okay, but first we have to
2 minutes
before we get our
of
2 minutes of
Ted
this
Kennedy.
guy,
Yeah.
and then
No.
this one.
Senate committee.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I do have to bow out, but I do have your video playing,
Okay.
so I do have to go ahead. So
Absolutely, thank you, sir.
Bye.
We're gonna go full screen for this anyway. Thank
Yeah.
you everybody for watching,
Good
and
night.
we'll see you next time.
More false flags.
Yes. How do I?
This
My kid
is-
is playing.
can I
FML.
do,
Here we
honey?
go. I got it.
We're assuming certain things have happened. That's why I said you need to direct a question like that to the Department of Justice.
Very quiet.
Let's look at what we knew. We knew, just like the United Nations Security Council and intelligence agencies across the world in previous administrations, that Saddam Hussein had possessed and used weapons of mass destruction, that he had used chemical weapons, that he had a history of doing that. We knew that Saddam Hussein had large, unaccounted for stockpiles of biological and chemical weapons.
Mr. President.
Senator from Massachusetts.
Further proceedings on the quorum.
Without objection, so.
We may never know for sure who or what persuaded President Bush to go to war in Iraq. We know now that we should not have accepted at face value the claims that Iraq was linked to Al Qaeda, or that Iraq was building nuclear weapons, or that Iraq had stockpiles of chemical or biological weapons. Our intelligence agencies clearly had inadequate information to justify such claims by the administration, but it is far from clear why President Bush was persuaded to accept that information as adequate.
Thank you. I was honored. So we won the Cold War, and by we I mean all the democracies, not just the United States.
We also know that Saddam admitted to producing 8,500 liters of anthrax. That sounds like a lot, but that's less than half a tractor trailer load if it's in liquid form, and it's about 4 suitcases full if it's in powdered form. So what they're still looking for may be pretty easy to hide and fairly small. We'll see. Doesn't make it any less a weapon of mass destruction.
Why would that lead to a charge that we're in it for a while? I would simply say that the arguments being made that somehow we were misled by intelligence denies the fact that most senators had available to them all of the information that is now being debated. They could have come to different conclusions about it, but he gets the authority for what he's going to do from them.
Riders on the storm, riders on the storm. Into these songs we're born, into this fallen throne. Like a dog without a bone, like an actor on the blow. Riders on the storm. There's a killer on the road. Hey, spreading, squirming like a toad. Taking a holiday. Let's shoot you away. If you give this man a price, we'll found we will die. Killer on the road. Girl, you gotta love your man. Girl, you gotta love your man. Taking my hand, making my understand. The world and you depends on life will never end. Gotta love your man. Riders on the storm, riders on the storm. Into these arms we're born, into this fallen throne. Like a dog without a bone, like an actor on the blow. Riders on the storm. 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 Riders on the storm.